The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The season, the 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great.
Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Well, hello and welcome in to Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. Day 2 of the week in which I get a host, and I'm so happy to be here. NFL season is in full swing. It's in full swing. It feels like football season, although it doesn't feel like football season outside yet. We keep getting warm weather. When's the last time it rained? We're doing weather today. That's what we're going to talk about weather for 2 hours.
I know somebody who can do the weather.
It's a very entertaining show. Reed Mouse filling in for Justin Kinner. We got Jacob Tissett, Elliot Rear, and Casey McCollister. Jacob and Elliot, how are you guys doing on this fine Tuesday morning? We're going to talk about Monday Night Football. Did you guys win some money last night?
Yes, I did win some money last night. And not only that, I will not give a shout. No free ads here. No free ads. I especially won't give a free ad to this bar that I went to last night because it's not Champions Grill, which we will be at on Thursday for Chatterbox Bengals. We will have myself, Jacob, Casey.
No reader.
That's it. But nonetheless, again, I'll keep plugging that until Thursday, so please come out and see us again. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Michael, Nathan, everybody else, every other. There was a couple fans that came up to me after the show. So thank you guys for coming, and hopefully to see you on Thursday again. Anyway, I was at a bar last night, not Champions. Should have been Champions, but I wasn't a Champions. In this bar.
Because we'll go there Thursday.
That's right.
Because we'll go there Thursday.
And you can come there, too, and they can watch the show.
Thursday, myself, Elliot, and Casey.
I've got a rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, so just come Thursday. But I was at this bar, and they were giving away free TVs. Why were they doing it? Don't know. Don't understand why.
Did they get them from Paycor?
They were 32 inches, so it might have been.
I didn't even know they made TVs that small.
I know. How many inches are these guys here?
They're probably close to
32.
They're probably like 40.
But anyway, they were. So we walk into this bar, and they're like, "Yeah, write your name down. Just a free entry for a couple TVs." We're like, okay, sounds good. There was a drunk couple respectfully, they were drunk, of course. They were sitting at a big bar
up
there.
As you do at a bar.
Huh?
As you do at a bar.
Correct. There was like a group of old guys, and they were very loud during this entire Monday Night Football game. But anyway, one of them won. And when he won, he got up and he danced around the room. So it was a very good atmosphere.
You won some money last night?
I did.
Very nice, very nice. I won some money last night, but I didn't bet on the Falcons. I had money on the Eagles and cashed it out before the game.
Nice.
Because I saw the guy with the Philly Fanatics chest
tattoo.
tattoo.
Cashed it out before the game.
Before the game.
Before the game.
I thought you cashed it out during the game.
Well, I made money because I didn't lose the bet.
That's how money works.
That's right.
Jacob, you can be my financial advisor.
Exactly.
90% of public funds.
That guy with the Philly
Eagles.
Fanatics tattoo on his chest tore his ACL chest bumping Jason Kelsey at the pregame show.
Yeah.
The Eagles had no chance after that. No chance.
I get that's fair.
The vibes were all off.
I speaking of tattoos, so I went to Oakley Greens this last Saturday, and I was there for a birthday party. The birthday party is of a friend. He's from Northern Ohio. He moved down here. He's a big Browns fan. His parents were there. First time that I met his parents, and his dad had two separate Cleveland Browns tattoos. One of the helmet, and then one of the dog.
Very nice.
And he showed both of them. And I made the same joke twice when he showed me them, and I thought it was hilarious. He didn't think it was funny at all. I was like, he's wearing a Browns hat. I'm like, oh, you're a Browns fan? Of course you are. And he's like, well, if you hate my hat, wait till you see this. Shows me the helmet. And I was like, oh, did you get that after you got Deshaun? And then he's like, no, good one. Then he shows me the other one. I was like, what, did you get that after you guys traded for Deshaun? I doubled down on the Deshaun Watson joke. Deshaun Watson played well on Sunday. Casey Rue, nice to see you as well. You look very blue in a good way.
Oh, thank you. I like this shirt a lot. It brings out my eyes.
It does. You have very pretty.
Do you have blue eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never noticed.
Come on.
He's got blonde hair, blue eyes. He's a regular Aryan. Have they done anything bad in the past 100 years?
Nope.
No?
Certainly not.
At my wedding, there was about 3 Nazi jokes.
Oh, boy.
In the toast. Can't do anything about that one. Didn't write the speeches. But I get it. Listen, I get it. I certainly get it. All right, let's talk about NFL football.
The radio crowd's gonna like that inside.
What a time
joke.
to be alive.
For the people that are listening on radio, I have a very blue eyes and blonde hair, as does my wife. All right, let's talk about Monday Night Football and the Philadelphia Eagles, because here's what I've got to say about the game and how it ended last night. Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't understand how he is still their coach this morning. I don't understand how he was their coach going into the year based off what happened last year, but exclusively, how can you still let this man be your head coach? Last night was a culmination of everything we saw at the end of last year. You play a game where you feel like you were, I don't want to say in control of, but certainly towards the end of the game, you are just moments away from winning the game. And there's one thing that you can do to shorten the chances of the opposing team coming back. You can greaten the chances of you winning. And what do? You think you're smarter than everyone. You think that you figured it out. 3rd and 4, minute 40 left on the clock. The opposing team has no timeouts. And what do you run? You run a waggle play, put Saquon in the flats. Instead of just running the ball up the middle with your $20 million a year running back and Saquon Barkley, one of the best in the game, to where if you get 3 yards, you can do your famous play, the tush push, the brotherly shove, and get the first down and put it on ice, or you can get the field goal and go up 6, which they eventually did, but you would have ticked off 40 seconds off the clock. What do? They roll out to the right. The play was there. Saquon drops it. And I understand that there are some people that defend the play because there is actually pretty decent logic behind it. You say, all right, here's what you're going to do, Jalen. We're going to send Saquon out in the flats, and you're going to pass the ball to him if he's there. If he's not there, you're going to hold it. You're going to take the tackle. You're going to stay in bounds. We're going to run 40 seconds off the clock. We'll kick the field goal. But the reason you don't run the play, and once again, I get the logic. I get what they're trying to do. The reason you don't run that play is for exactly what happened. The play was there. It was a good pass. Saquon just dropped the ball. No time gets ticked off. You give Kirk Cousins, who famously isn't really good in primetime games, although that is going by the wayside as he just diced them up in the final minute and 40 seconds. But you give him double the time that he would have had if you just ran the ball up the gut. And here's the worst part of it all. As boos start raining down from the stands, from these Philadelphia fans who are some of the most passionate in this country, you see the Eagles implode just before your eyes, just as I alluded to earlier, just like they did last year. 10-1. 10-1, and they had one of the worst collapses in NFL history. They made the postseason, and then they get absolutely boat raced by an inferior team in the wild card round. This team is too talented. The Philadelphia Eagles are too talented. They're too skilled. They're too physical to play like they did towards the end of the game last night and to play like they did towards the end of last season. And I don't understand how they can continue to go on. And on top of that, you got a guy that's leading one of the most prolific franchises in the NFL who just seems immature. Nick Sirianni just seems immature. That play, who was it again that got his helmet ripped off, made the big stop?
Chauncey
Gardner-Johnson. What does Nick Sirianni do after the play? He runs down to go celebrate. Doesn't coach the team. He's got to go celebrate. Let the get-back guys do that. Even let your DC go celebrate with him. Let your linebacker, whoever it is, but you're the head coach. Stay on the sideline. You don't need to do that. There's that famous clip. I forget when it was. It was sometime last year, maybe 2 years ago. It might have been in the Super Bowl, where Nick Sirianni's celebrating, and Jalen Hurts, his young 20s quarterback's like, hey, pipe down, dude. We got a game to play. When your quarterback is telling you, when your 20-something quarterback is telling you got to be more mature as a head coach, that's not a good look. And I just don't understand how anyone can continue to. Listen, I understand he went to the Super Bowl. I understand that he was, moments away from winning the Super Bowl. But based on what we saw last year, which I think can go down as one of the worst implosions in NFL history, based on what we saw last night, which is just one game in week 2, and you don't want to blow everything, but it's just more of what we've been seeing with the Philadelphia Eagles. That team is too talented, too skilled, too physical to be playing like that, to lose that game against, and Kirk Cousins played great at the end, but an immobile Kirk Cousins, you had a chance just thinking you're outsmarting the game. Outsmarting the game. And once again, you can tell me, I know why they ran it. I know what the play was. I know you tell them, hey, if he's open, you throw it to him. He's just got to catch the pass. But the reason you don't run that play is for exactly what happened. Guess what doesn't happen if you just hand the ball off? Time still gets ticked off. You tell Saquon, you hold on to that ball for dear life, and you dive into the hole. And if you get 3 yards, you can do the tush push, end the game right there. Or you can kick the field goal and go up 6 points. All the same, Philadelphia sitting with one of the worst losses on Monday Night Football that we've seen certainly in this year, and it just feels like more of the same. And I just don't understand how and in fact, I don't think Nick Sirianni will be their head coach come not the start of next season, but come to the end of this year. I just don't know how that carries on. Guys, what was your immediate reaction to watching the play and then leaving 1:40 on the clock?
Basically the same as yours. I understand that it worked, but I don't know why you put that option into the air. And just to go back off your point about how it's one of the biggest collapses ever, the Falcons had a 0.7% chance of winning with 1:56 left in the fourth quarter. That's the 7th most improbable comeback in the next-gen stats era, which is since 2016. That's 8 years almost of football. This is the 7th most improbable win in that era. That's incredible. And I know they got down the field super fast, and it was one of the most surgical drives we've ever seen. Kirk Cousins did a great job moving the ball very quickly. But to act like it wouldn't have mattered if they had 40 seconds squeezed off the clock is crazy to me. I've seen a lot of people doing the math and saying, well, they would have scored anyway if you take those 40 seconds off. It doesn't matter. That would have completely changed
adds more pressure to them when they're working with 1 minute.
And it changes the trajectory of the game because just like you said, they have a tush push that works pretty dang good. If you get 1.5 yards on 3rd down, run it again and get the 1st down. And if you don't get it, then the Falcons are playing for a field goal to go to overtime instead of playing for a touchdown to beat you.
I was going to say, even in reading, you just both touched on it a little bit, but if you run the ball, the Falcons were struggling stopping the run all game. If you're going to get a yard, you're going to get a yard or possibly 2 yards at the very least if you run the ball. If it's 4th and 1, you're definitely going for it to end the game right there, 100%. And if that was the plan, then I don't understand throwing the ball. But saying that, the play did work. I don't hate the play if you're trying to just end the game right there. And again, the play call worked. I don't blame Nick Sirianni for a correct play call.
But it didn't.
But it didn't.
It
wasn't executed. It wasn't executed.
That's true. But the reason you don't run that play is for exactly what happened.
100%.
You hand the ball off. The worst thing that happens is you fumble the ball. You give them the ball right then and there, which, again, is terrible, but it's a way less likely scenario than Saquon Barkley dropping a pass out in the flats. The reason you don't run that play is for that exact reason. At that point in the game, Philadelphia in the air had 183 yards passing. Jalen Hurts was 23 of 30 for 183 yards passing. At that point in the game, they had rushed for more yards, 186 rushing yards. And you decide, with the opposing team having no timeouts, you decide to throw the ball. Play was open. Play was there. You don't run it because a drop can happen. You hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley. If he gets 2 yards, you do the tush push and either end the game right then or there, or you leave the Falcons having to go 95 yards. You just can't do that, and that's more of Nick Sirianni outsmarting the game. I just don't understand how a team this physical, this talented, and this much money poured into the roster. They're going for it. They understand that they are Super Bowl contenders talent-wise. But there needs to be a change at the head coaching position. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how a team starts 10-1 last year and doesn't look like they want to play football anymore for the final 7 weeks. In fact, they're playing in a postseason game. They're playing in a wild card postseason game, and they looked like they didn't want to be there. And then you feel like you won this game on Monday Night Football at home, and the defense just implodes. Kirk Cousins was great on that final drive. Dude's wide open. It was surgical. As Elliott texted us last night, it's one of the most surgical drives I've ever seen, and I don't disagree.
It was a first down, a 20-something yard throw, and then another 20-something yard throw, 58 yards in legitimately 30 seconds of real time, of our time.
Both wide open.
Wide open.
Wide open.
He almost missed. I think it was Darnell Mooney. He almost missed him.
Both of them were Darnell Mooney.
Okay, so there was one where Darnell Mooney had to legit dive for it. But yeah, it was wild. I've never seen a defense just absolutely quit like that. Did they have a timeout? Why did they call a timeout?
Falcons didn't have any timeouts.
No, the Eagles.
Oh,
I feel like
why would you stop the time?
Well, I guess
if they went out of bounds.
I guess you're right. But my God, the defense clearly wasn't working. They were running the same formation, right? The Falcons were.
But you can't give the Falcons time to set up.
I guess you're right.
The only
I guess
chance
you're
the
right.
Eagles have at that point is to have the Falcons run out of time, I think.
I guess you're right.
It's just like I said, everyone does this joke all the time on X.com or wherever you get your sporty news. They go, they shouldn't let him get back to it. They should fire him on the field. For the first time in my life, think that should have happened. I think you walk right on down to the field and you say, Nick Sirianni, this is... And to be honest, I don't know how he had the job to start the season. I felt like going into this year, everyone talks about Mike McCarthy. Everyone talks about Matt Eberflus being on the hot seat. Nick Sirianni's seat is hot as any of them. You can cook a frozen pizza on that seat. And he just shouldn't. He just shouldn't be the coach there anymore.
Watch out for Bill.
They're far too You want to talk about something? I make fun of Bill Belichick on this show quite a bit. Bill Belichick, because that's the team that he would eat up. Physical. Already skilled. The offensive players are already there. He doesn't need to draft anymore.
Built and ready to go.
Yeah, ready to rock. He just play hard-nosed football. That's a team that, man, right then and there. And if you're the Eagles ownership, and you may be making call right to Bill Belichick right now. Hey, you want this job? I'm going to fire him. You want this? I just don't know. And it looks like the NFC East is going to be open. Cowboys don't look very good. This is still your division. NFC is tougher as a conference, but that division looks a little weaker. All right, we're going to break into more headlines when we come back. We did Thursday Night Football, but Elliot's going to go into his headlines when we come back. You're listening and watching Off the Bench here, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We're on 1410 Wing AM. And welcome back to Off the Bench. Reed Mouse filling in for Justin Kinner. He's on a lovely little vacation. Down in Florida,
I believe.
The state that never brotherly loves.
That's right. I saw his Instagram, and he was recording. There was a flyover.
Yeah, Blue Angels.
Blue Angels were flying over. That was pretty cool, wherever he was. So good for Kinner. I hope you're enjoying it. A well-deserved break for Justin Kinner.
Is there anything? Yeah, he works really hard. Seriously, he really does. I mean, he comes and does this show, and then he drives straight on up to Centerville and does the show on his 3:00 show, Kinner and Kev. It's impressive how hard that man works. Truly is. Is there anything that makes you feel more patriotic than a flyover? Like you're just at a football game, and you never know if it's going to happen. You just start looking up to the, like you just say you're at Paycor Stadium and the camera just zooms on out into the abyss of the open sky. And you're just like, oh, and they fly right on over. And it just fills me with patriotic stars and stripes.
It's the best.
I don't think there's a better. I've never had like a big one. I've had like there's some cool planes that have done it, but I want the big plane. What's it called? The
P2.
The stealth.
The stealth bomber.
stealth.
I want that one.
I've been to Great American and the stealth bomber flew over, and it was. I was a kid when it happened.
Yeah.
It felt like the plane was the size of the stadium. It truly felt like that. It wasn't. It's not that big, but like my childhood brain, you know how you like imagine everything's bigger than it really is? It felt like the plane like made a shadow over the entire stadium. And you're just like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The noise scares me every time. Every single time.
They're the best. They're the best. They actually do them a fair amount at like the SEC games just because the stadiums are insane. LSU had 3 B2s flew over for the Bama game a few years ago. It was incredible.
It's pretty cool.
All right, so
Headlines?
we are going to start off the show
Yeah.
with Elliot's
There we
headlines.
go.
So
Elliot loves 3 things: Joey Votto, David Bell, and leading off the bench with top headlines.
2 for 3 today.
2 for 3.
Pretty good.
Major League Baseball. For those that still watch that sport, Guardians come back from 3 down to beat the Twins. Clase gets his 46th save of the season.
what's his ERA at?
Probably, I don't have that information in front of me, but I imagine
one.
it's,
.65.
Yeah.
is that pretty good?
It's pretty good. His whip, .65.
Serious question. How low would that have to be for him to win the Cy Young this year?
He can't beat Tarek Skubal. We did that.
0.2? Like, if you give up 1 run this year, would he win it?
I think it would just have to. I think those numbers are good enough. The other pitchers just can't
Correct.
be as good.
So
like,
the
Skubal
last-
just couldn't be having as good of a year.
We did that like in the late 80s, early 90s. We started giving out Cy Young awards to relievers a lot. Actually, one year, Dennis Eckersley won the MVP. A reliever won the MVP. I think we realize now in the analytics age that's kind of silly. That's a little silly. But Emmanuel Clase, I think the most recent guy to win the Cy Young was Eric Gagne in 2003. So it's been 21 years.
It's been a long time. Guardians, they stretch out their divisional lead to 5 games. Mets walk off the Nationals 2-1. They are back in the final wild card spot. That's kind of crazy how the Mets are maybe going to make the playoffs this season. It was certainly going to be a down year, rebuilding year, and all of a sudden, boom, close to 90 wins.
I brought this up yesterday, but it's crazy that 2 months ago, middle of June, we were talking, is a team under 500 going to be that third wild card team?
Yeah.
That was a serious conversation we had on this show. And it's looking like the final wild card team is going to win 88 games, 89 games. Crazy.
And the team behind them will probably have one less game. So both, again, pretty incredible. Dodgers, they shut out the Braves 9-0. That was the other team that's chasing the Mets. Yamamoto went 4 innings, allowed 4 hits, struck out 3. Shohei Ohtani becomes the first player in 130 years to rack up 85 extra base hits and 45 steals. Good for Shohei Ohtani. Cubs, they obliterate the A's 9-2. Shota 14-3 on the year. 6 innings, 11 strikeout performance. That's your guy. You're not going to make the playoffs, but you're going to fight. Fight.
Well, the playoff hopes were killed over the weekend. So my wife's in Chicago right now doing a bridal show. She's at a bridal show buying dresses for her bridal shop that opens next month. And we were going to go to that Cubs game. She's going to have me come on up there, but been working like so much. I haven't been home. I just told her, I was like, hey, I'll just stay home. Got to host a show next week. And she's like, all right, that's fine. As I was watching and getting push notifications of the Cubs, I was like, man, I probably would have had fun. Probably would have had fun at Wrigley Field last night, but it's all the same.
Brewers, they take care of the Phillies 6-2. Tigers now just a game and a half back of the wild card spot, the final wild card spot. They beat the Royals 7-6. My Royals lose again. Cardinals shut out the Pirates 4-0. Rockies beat the Diamondbacks at home. The Angels lost to the White Sox 8-4 to give the White Sox their 36th win of the season. It is the second 3-game winning streak of the season for the Chicago White Sox.
How close are they to?
So 36 is what they have now. I still think they're 8 away, right? I think they would have to win 8 more games.
What is it, the 2003 Tigers?
Yeah. There might be nice.
Just spilled it everywhere.
2003 Tigers.
Yeah, I got them. They were 43 and 119.
Oh, no,
Okay.
Reed.
Okay. Are they
Go-
chasing them?
Bye, Reed. Here we go. In other news, Mike Trout says he's going to possibly move away from playing center field next year.
Okay.
Maybe to the corner outfield or DH permanently.
DH him.
I don't know
Just
why
DH
I don't
him.
know why you wouldn't DH
Just
him.
let him chase some career numbers and not get hurt in the outfield.
Correct.
And give baseball fans a chance to watch some more Mike Trout.
It doesn't make any sense to have him out there.
We don't
but
have that many years of good Mike Trout left if he is healthy.
Correct.
Much less if he's hurt. Let's at least watch as much of it as we can.
Monday night, we talked about some of this, but I'll go over some of the numbers. Kirk Cousins, 20 for 29, throwing 2 touchdowns, 241 yards. Bijan Robinson carried it 14 times for 97 yards. He looked very, very good. Darnell Mooney led receivers for Atlanta, 88 yards. He scored a touchdown. Drake London caught the game-winning touchdown in that game last night. Again, he was wide open as well. Jalen Hurts, 23 for 30 with a touchdown and an interception for 183 yards. Hurts added 13 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown on the ground as well. Saquon Barkley rushed 22 times for 95 yards, and Devontae Smith led Eagles pass catchers with 7 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. I didn't know A.J. Brown was out.
Yeah, out for multiple weeks. He's
Really?
He's going to miss some time.
Man, receivers are going down.
A lot of injuries across the league right now.
Debo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp,
Puka.
Puka Nacua. That's a bunch of receivers just going down for the count right now. Other news. Lane Kiffin is upset that Wake Forest violated an unwritten rule by buying its way out of next year's matchup. It leaves Ole Miss in search of another major conference opponent. I didn't know one could do this.
You can buy out the game. There's a buyout price for a reason, so you can buy it out. I also completely understand why Kiffin is mad. You're giving a team less than 12 months to schedule someone for the next season when obviously it's a Power 5 opponent. They're probably going to have to fill them with a Group of 5 or FCS team because Power 5 opponents are scheduled out so far, and you're just kneecapping Ole Miss's strength of schedule next year.
I actually like the move then. So if you're going to get blown out, what was it, 46-3?
40-6.
40-6. If you're going to lose 40-6, how about this? Good luck scheduling an opponent next year. We're walking. I like that a lot. That's a winner's mentality. If I can't win, neither can you next year. So have fun playing Charlotte or wherever the hell you play. The Panthers, they have benched Bryce Young, and it will be Andy Dalton starting in Carolina.
He always finds his way on the field against the Bengals.
That's right. It's the Dalton era in Carolina. I would like that game personally flexed to a late game. I'd like either Sunday night, Monday night, or Thursday night. I'd want one of the nights because Carolina's a fun little team.
Also, Andy is very famous for playing well in prime
Correct.
time.
That's right.
games. He's got a very good prime time record. I was at Andy Dalton Senior Day.
Oh.
I was at Andy Dalton Senior Day for the Bengals.
Senior day.
It was Senior Day.
Caitlin Clark broke the WNBA rookie scoring record as she now has 761 points.
She also broke the rookie assist record a few weeks ago.
That's correct. How is
Good for her.
Is she
because
still
she's going
not-
to win Rookie of the Year now.
Well,
that
is she, though?
Angel's gone for the year.
Well, is she though?
Angel's
Yeah.
hurt for the year.
Oh, I don't,
You
can
haven't been
find
able
somebody,
to bet,
right?
You haven't been able to bet Rookie of the Year for months.
We can find somebody else, surely. ESPN, right?
Yeah,
We
they'll
can
find
somebody
a
else who
way.
can win. But nonetheless, Caitlin Clark, good for her. I mean, she's a borderline MVP as a
Yeah.
rookie. So, nonetheless, those are your headlines.
Andy Dalton, it's so Jacob, you tweeted about the Carolina Panthers situation.
Yeah.
And it shows how little faith you have in Bryce Young being your future quarterback, to where you're just saying we give up, right? That's essentially. Unless you're saying he just needs a breather,
right?
Unless you're just saying he just needs a breather right now. But Dave Canellis saw 2 games and is like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out. I'm out on this guy. We'll have Andy Dalton play. Who cares? Because they're clearly. I don't think anybody in that clubhouse thinks they're going to make the postseason. NFC South looks a lot better than we anticipated, with the Saints playing very well, and we already like the Bucks are 2-0, Saints are 2-0, Falcons just got to win on Monday Night Football. So it's not like you're gonna sneak out a playoff berth from that division. You're just saying, hey, we give up on Bryce Young. We give up. Will he get more chances to play? Certainly, no doubt about it. But I just don't know how you can read into this any other way than saying like this is it. Like this is we got to get somebody else. And Dave Canellis had in his contract that it was like a 5-year deal, right? Basically saying like, in case Bryce Young isn't it, I get to draft one more guy.
Yeah.
I get one more shot at this.
Yeah, and honestly, kudos to Dave Canellis if that is what his decision is to move off Bryce Young this year, because it is tough to do that with a number 1 pick, especially one that you didn't draft. You feel pressured to have him as your starting quarterback and rock with him through the growing pains, and kudos to Dave Canellis to moving off of him, I guess, if that was his decision. But I don't necessarily know that it's punting on Bryce Young yet if you're the Panthers. It would certainly seem weird to me, just 18 starts into the career of a guy that you traded basically your entire future to go draft and putting him in a terrible situation. I'm still holding out hope that the Panthers are just benching him, because what is he gaining being out there behind the worst O-line with the worst weapons in the league? Obviously, he hasn't looked good, but I think they could be putting Andy Dalton, because they don't want to win games.
Correct.
So
No, 100%.
I don't think you're not benching Bryce Young because you think Andy Dalton's going to give you a better chance to win games. That's not why.
I think he's just been so bad that it's almost an embarrassment at this point. And I don't mean to be he's playing for an absolutely atrocious team. But last week he was pressured on just 4 of 29 dropbacks. 4 of 29 dropbacks. That's the lowest rate of any starting quarterback in the NFL.
They have the 5th best PFF pass protection grade of any team in the league.
He threw for 80 yards. I mean, listen. We can blame the entire roster, but it was clear. You saw the clip of Adam Thielen kind of throwing his helmet out on the sideline after Bryce Young couldn't find him wide open. I think a couple of those wide receivers are wide open. I just don't think he's been playing very well. And on top of it, the Panthers really have no hope. Their fan base is attacking the owner. The owner is saying we're going to build a stadium in 25, 42, whatever year that will be enacted. But nonetheless, good for the Panthers switching. I think it does. If anything, it shows that they're just not going to roll over and die. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. They're not going to win games.
I don't think they really truly have aspirations of making. I mean, the players will say that, right? They're breaking it down, let's win, and
they're not
like that.
They're not
but
trying
everyone
to
in the
make clubs.
clubhouse is going
Correct.
or everyone in the front office in the coach's room going like, hey, we just got to figure this out. Let's sort it out, and then we'll worry about it next year about who we can get and everything like that. I might have jumped the gun in saying that this is them giving up on Bryce Young, but it certainly doesn't breathe confidence into him. Certainly doesn't breathe confidence. You're just saying like, hey, at the very most, you're just saying, hey, just take a breather for a few weeks. Andy's going to play. We'll see if we can figure out some things with Andy's, and then we'll give it to you. We'll give you the reins back. We'll see.
Yeah, one question I was thinking yesterday when I saw Bryce got benched was, we've talked a lot about how this quarterback class in the draft isn't very good. And obviously Bryce has struggled through 18 starts in the NFL. There's no way around that. But he was a phenomenal college prospect. He went number 1 in the draft over C.J. Stroud, basically unanimously going into the draft. Most people thought that he was better than C.J., and obviously C.J.'s been great. Bryce has had a terrible situation. If you're a team picking at the top of the draft, it's certainly not going to take a first-round pick to trade for Bryce Young if the Panthers are truly giving up on him. Why don't you make that call? Draft another player in the top 5 instead of reaching for a quarterback. Bolster your roster in a different way. Trade for Bryce with some weapons around him. Say you're the Raiders with Gardner Minshew. You're not going to be picking maybe in the top 5. They beat the Ravens this week. Maybe you're not going to be picking in the top 5 or 10. You go trade for a guy like Bryce Young. You give him a weapon like Devontae Adams, a better O-line. You draft someone high in the draft. Maybe he gets a shot somewhere else like Baker and flourishes in a better situation. So I'm not all the way out on Bryce. I am probably out on Bryce in Carolina, though.
So it's the NFL is truly beautiful. Like, we can look at the Carolina Panthers, and I think we'd probably be right in saying that they aren't close to being a competing roster. Like, I think you can look at them and pretty comfortably say, like, they aren't a good draft away from being true NFC South contenders, making the postseason or anything like that. They're probably a couple years away and having to kind of stock that cupboard. That being said, we've seen crazier things. Like, if you would have told me 2 years ago that the Houston Texans were going to be one of the best teams in the AFC, I'd look at you like that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. So, I mean, once you figure out quarterback, things kind of fall into place, right? It's like it's like you have a house of cards, and then they just shuffle down when they fall together, and that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to figure out. It's a quarterback coach league. You figure out the coach. I think Dave Cannell is highly regarded. He gave himself enough leeway on the rope. We'll see if the Panthers actually hold out to that in a 5-year deal. So where if he figures out the quarterback, you get a good coach, you get a good quarterback, you'll win some games in this league. One thing that I noticed you left out of your headlines was Zach Taylor's Wagoneer was stolen.
That's right.
I did forget
kiddos.
that. That was late news. But I did have this in headlines that I just came out a couple minutes ago. CBS announced that Sunday's Bengals-Chiefs game drew an average of 27.8 million viewers, making it their most watched September game since 1998.
Isn't it so crazy?
It was also the most streamed game, Paramount's most streamed regular season game of all time.
I think it is and this, once again, shows just how amazing the NFL has swallowed up everything. They've swallowed up everything that a market like Cincinnati and a market like Kansas City have the most watched Sunday, September game
Yeah.
in 30 years. That shows. And you remember when everyone said they weren't going to watch the NFL anymore a few years ago? You got me wrong about that one, weren't you? Wrong about that one. Yeah, but it truly is incredible. And it shows one, how big of a draw Patrick Mahomes is, how big of a draw. Everyone hates dynasties. But they're good for the sport. They are. Baseball, the last time that baseball was at a real peak was in the late 90s when the Yankees won 4 out of 5 and they three-peated. The basketball, they don't have a dynasty right now, and they are noticing the numbers dip off. Everyone can say that we like competition, we want a new champion every year. But to be quite honest, dynasties are good for business. And I know I made the take yesterday. I saw some other people make the take that it seems like we just handed off one dynasty for another.
Yeah.
Like we finished the Patriots run, and what do? They hand it right on off to the Kansas City Chiefs, who I said it yesterday. It's insane that the Bengals played better than them for 60 minutes and lost the game.
This one's so much more frustrating when it comes to dynasties because we're actually competitive.
Yep.
Right.
I never got the true Brady hate because he was never affecting the Bengals. We never made it far enough. This one, I understand what a lot of those other teams that Brady was dominating for so long. I understand what they felt.
Yep.
It's I like dynasties. I really do. And you're right. This one stings a little more because we are in the mix. Like, I'm sure I would hate the Patriots if I was a Steelers fan or a Colts fan or whoever the Patriots were going up against. But man, I think there's something that I'm drawn to, and I think a lot of people they won't admit it. But you're drawn to greatness. We always do this. We always hate players when they're in their prime. We hate Tom Brady when he's 27 to 30 or something like that. Then when he wins the Super Bowl when he's 42 years old, you're like, all right, you won me over. We hate Steph Curry for his entire run. Hate him for his entire run. Then he wins a couple years ago. You're like, all right. You beat it out of me. That's what this Patrick Mahomes thing. We hate him right now. He'll win a Super Bowl in 6 years. And you're just like, all right, you beat me. Beat me to it. I'm sure I wasn't obviously really alive. I mean, I was alive in 1996. That's when I was born. But the Bulls thing seemed a little different. It seemed like everyone was in love with the Bulls. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I wasn't around for that, but it seemed like everyone was in love with the Bulls. That's the only one that it feels a little different. But everyone else, they just beat you. They finally get you to it. And it's actually a good way to noticing when a dynasty is in full swing. Isn't the championships, isn't that, but it's who kids are drawn to. Kids were drawn. I just watched a video, a Christmas video from the mid-'90s or early '90s before I was born for my family. Somehow it got there. It was actually very heartwarming because it was there was my mom was in it. My mom passed away in 2002. Hadn't heard her voice in forever, and I'm watching this video. But both my brothers got Chicago Bulls tracksuits, and they were so pumped, so excited, running around the room with their Chicago Bulls tracksuits. And you're just like, Matt and Drew, you like the Bulls? What? But that's how much people gravitate towards them. I remember my cousin Tyson, my godson, huge Warriors fan for 4 or 5 years. People are drawn to winners. Kids are drawn to winners, and that's a good way to figure out where the dynasties are. And there's a lot of Patrick Mahomes fans out there. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, there's big news going on at Paycor Stadium. There's going to be some renovations, much needed.
Woo!
Much needed in the current makeover in the reputation of the Cincinnati Bengals and a makeover in just that godforsaken stadium. That we win a lot of games. The seats are green because it's the jungle. We'll be back on 1410 Wing AM. It's Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers.
Ten minutes.
Do you have the tweet? And we are back. We're going to talk about Paycor Renovations as there's going to be an announcement today, WLW. This was something that one of you guys sent it to in our group chat. Casey has the renovation list right here, but it's funny. Whenever one of my friends, I had friends come in for the Luke Combs concert this summer, and they said their big takeaway is they sent me a text. They go, "Hey, Reed, this stadium sucks." I was like, "Yeah, sure does." About once a year, they rank the 32 NFL stadiums, And we used to be 31. We used to be 31. We used to be the 31st best, the 31st best stadium in the NFL. That was when the Raiders played at O.co. They don't play at O.co anymore. They play at Allegiant.
We're still better than Commander Stadium.
You think we're better than FedEx?
FedEx Field tries to kill people every season.
It's true.
It collapsed on Jalen Hurts.
It's true, it did collapse.
At least
on Jalen
Paycor is
Hurts.
made of cement, so it can't collapse on anyone.
We doing this today?
Oh, I'm just saying. It did.
FedEx Field's definitely the worst.
It did.
bigger.
It's ruined a lot of careers.
Oh my god! All right, whatever. It's regardless.
We're still 31st best.
30th, whatever we want to
RG3
be.
got fired from ESPN because of that field.
That's true. Joe Burrow, that field.
Yeah.
Oh, you did get.
Yeah.
Was Alex Smith
Alex
that field?
Smith that
Alex
field.
Smith was that field.
All right.
And you know the
30th?
who's the famous one? What?
That was before.
Joe
that.
Theismann wasn't on that field.
That wasn't on that.
Oh, that wasn't on that field.
FedEx was built like in '99.
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
was.
can we include that one then?
No.
Can I petition to have it included?
You can petition.
I feel like
We'll
there's
review it for
there's
next
so
week.
many injuries that have been had there that I feel like you can just
But
add
it's
that
not
one.
on that
One of
field. It
Saquon's
didn't
ACLs
happen
was
there.
on that. One of Saquon's ACLs was on that field.
Okay.
So we got a
He,
little.
he pointed at you when
Theismann-
you said this Saquon
yeah.
as if you proved his point about Joe Theismann. He's like, oh yeah, Saquon got hurt there. Theismann got hurt there too.
I stand by it.
It didn't happen on that field. But Casey, you got the tweet of the renovations. I don't know if you looked into this, but we're doing this live. Like we are literally reacting to this live. I think we can all admit that there's not a whole lot of fan engagement when you go into that stadium. It's very much just concrete, and then there's like some pop-up concession stands,
Yeah.
but there's no like you go to Great American, there's bars, there's all these cool places for kids, and no, you don't take a whole lot of kids to football games, not as much as a baseball game, but one of the big things that I was interested in are two things. One, they're going to, and I think this is interesting. I think it's a little funny. One, they're going to put a sports book in. Sure, why not? I don't know who their new sports book sponsor is. I know that their old sports book sponsor is no longer active.
Who are they?
I don't recall.
Okay.
They are they don't exist here in the United States. It was Betfred. Betfred was their sponsor.
Betfred.
Also our old sponsor. Bet with Betfred. You can't. The other thing that I think was interesting, and I heard this a couple years ago, they're putting a nightclub in the suite level.
We're so cool.
We put a nightclub in the suite level, the one facing the banks. No, it actually looks like it's on the opposite side.
The nightclub is N3, so it's like on the. Yeah, it's on the opposite side.
This is south to north, so if it's on the right side, then that's the bank side. How funny would it be? You text your friends, hey, what's the move tonight? Want to go to the banks? Want to go to over the Rhine? Let's go to the core.
Let's club at the core.
Let's go club at the core. Then you can pop right over to Longwood,
I like
go to
that.
Energy Nightclub. Any of you guys been to Energy Nightclub?
I have
Back in my
not.
prime.
But I've got some other ideas for Paycor they could do. Number one, zip line. There should be a zip line in the stadium, and it should go from the highest seat, the highest nosebleed seat in the stadium, down to the field. You should be able to zip line once a game onto the field whenever you want.
Okay.
Second, I want the big fish from Miami that they had for the Marlins. I want that moving fish. I want that in one of the end zones.
That was so bad they took it out of the Marlins Stadium.
Yeah, I know. That means
I'm
it's
just
somewhere.
glad-
That means it's in storage somewhere.
No, it's right outside the stadium.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like
Okay,
a
then we
monument outside
then
the
we
stadium.
can go and get it.
I'm just
and
glad they
put
didn't make it a
at
dome.
Paycor.
That's really my main takeaway. Is I'm glad they didn't make it a dome. I'm glad they're keeping it where it is. I think the Bengals Stadium's in a great spot. The Banks is phenomenal. You can see Great American and all that good stuff. Very glad they're not moving it, and very, very glad they're not making it a dome. Cleveland's building that like event center concert hall thing, which looks very, very cool, but not a football stadium. It's for everything else.
Domes take away football stadium.
That's right.
Football stadium looks.
Yeah.
I think if anybody needs a dome, it's Great American Ballpark. Like baseball stadiums, you can rationalize
What?
a dome.
Baseball should always be in a dome. You cancel the game if it rains.
You cancel the game if it rains.
We have great summer weather here in Cincinnati. Why would you need a dome?
Well, I'm just no. I'm not saying they need one.
If
I'm saying
any sport
if
has
any
a dome,
sport
it should be
needs-
baseball.
Correct. I think baseball. If you're going to put a dome, you would do it with a baseball team, not with a football team, because it doesn't matter if it's rain. It doesn't matter. You just play.
Well,
all
like
weather. I mean, yeah, but the lightning can't go on forever.
That
So
is
it's-
what they say.
So again, It's just baseball will cancel games if it's a little bit rainy out.
It does. Well, it does seem silly that we invented 20, 30 years ago the ability to have retractable domes, and new stadiums don't have those.
Yeah.
Like it does seem objectively like Miller Park has them, Minute Maid. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of domes, and I'd much rather have a dome in a football field than a baseball field. And I understand your guys' logic about you don't want to avoid games. You don't want to cancel games because of bad weather, but I think it's just something about being in the open sun, about all those things. I don't want to be in a building to watch a baseball game. I'm okay with being in a building to watch a football game. I'm okay with that. It's just interesting that this is going to be a $455 million. It's going to be double what it cost to build the stadium 25 years ago. It's going to be $455 million deal, and that's dished off on the Hamilton County taxpayers. So you guys both live in Hamilton County. Have fun with that one.
Whoop, whoop,
Woo! Have fun with that one.
Can't wait.
Although you guys you guys don't own a house, so doesn't go to you guys.
That is correct.
Doesn't go to you guys.
Believe
I'll
it or not.
I'll Venmo my mom.
That's right.
I'll Venmo her.
They need to sell every nook and cranny of the stadium. Every single new crevice that they build needs to have some company's name on it and some naming rights or the whatever section.
Yeah.
Sell everything. There should be ads on every square inch of the stadium because then you have cash and you can pay players like Jamar Chase.
I apologize, Craig. Craig corrected me. Thank you, Craig, for the corrections. We appreciate them. It was a $1 billion renovation. That's what it's going to be cost to build. It cost $455 million to build the stadium. You know what's interesting about the Bengals, and this is the final thing that I go because we do have to have a shorter segment here for segment 3. One of the interesting things I found about the Bengals are, and this is me giving them a little bit of a flack. I'm normally the positive guy, and I truly do believe that ownership and we're shedding the old reputations. That's what I've always said. We're shedding the old fandom, right? Although still sometimes it feels like we're cheap. Still sometimes all those things that people say about us are true. I don't know a whole lot of the Bengals sponsors. Like, I don't know how you guys feel. I go to Great American Ballpark, and you see Kroger. I know Kroger.
Yeah.
I know this and this and this. I went into when I got Jacob, when you were gracious enough to give me your tickets, your season tickets to go to the first Bengals game. You go in the suite and you see all the sponsors, and I'm like, I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
I don't know who these guys. I don't know who any of these companies are. Like,
They're all random. They're all pretty random.
I think the suites are actually CareSource, who I know CareSource, but like everything else, I was just like, I don't know who any of these sponsors are. And then they started out with Betfred, as everyone knows who Betfred is.
I haven't paid attention to a sponsor in any stadium ever. I don't like when I go to
I don't know who Paycor is.
I don't know who they are.
Great point.
I don't know who that is either. And I think I actually I think I do. I think I used Paycor once. I had the app when I worked for Town Properties.
I was gonna say because they were paid. They're
Yeah,
paying.
they paid me.
Okay,
so I do know who they are. But that's fine. Great American Ballpark, I know who Great American is. But outside,
right across the street.
correct. Outside of that, like I don't look at the home run signage out in the outfield saying, ooh, who they got out there today. I do know. Well, I don't know. I used to know it was like Gorilla Glue was the sponsor for the tarp. I did used to pay attention to that.
That's right.
But anything, and the Toyota Tundra is out in center field. That's it. That's all I got.
The greatest fan experience in
Yeah.
all of sports.
And it's never been updated. That's that same Tundra from 2004.
I don't think that's true.
I think it is. They've
How
never
would they
moved
get it up there? They have to build it.
Yeah,
on
they
the-
think
on
that
the
they do.
platform.
But,
They
well,
have to
that
build it
guy
on the
pooped
platform.
in it.
That's right.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I'm going to give an opinion on one thing that the Bengals need to do. You see it on the J-Bar. It's about Miles Murphy. But one thing that needs to improve with the Cincinnati Bengals if they want to get to any of their aspirations as a team this year. We're right back on 1410 Wing AM. All right, we are back here on Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy. Farmers Reed Mouse in here, filling in for Justin Dinner. I'll be here almost every day this week. I don't know if I'll be here Friday. I've got a wedding this weekend. My wife's best friend is getting married, so I got a rehearsal dinner Thursday night. That's why I'm not going to be at Champions Bar and Grill this Thursday. Champions Bar and Grill. These three will be
That's right.
live from there. So if you're a Dayton listener, come on down to the west side of Cincinnati. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun as we talk about all things Bengals, or these guys will talk about all things Bengals. But I want to talk about the Bengals right now. And there's a lot of pieces. We talked about the interior line yesterday at great length, and there's been a lot to do. I saw a tweet talking about how Trent Irwin is out of 100, and I'm quoting these stats. Out of like 133 eligible wide receivers, Trent Irwin was like 132 in terms of separation. The only guy that was lower than him was Tyler Boyd. So you can talk about the need for T. Higgins creating more distractions, creating more separation, giving Joe Burrow more weapons to work with because it appears that Trent Irwin's not doing his job. And we can talk about that. And we can talk about how Jamar Chase, though he's had 2 okay games, we need him to be a more integral part of the team. And we can talk about how Trent Brown hasn't been playing well on the right tackle, and we need Amarius Mims, the first-round draft pick, to at least see what we got there because it can't get much worse than Trent Brown. But there's one piece of this team that has been a problem, I think, for a while. And it has, through the first 4 weeks, first 2 weeks has only extenuated that problem. And that is the pass rush. Everyone last year talked about how we need to put more pressure on the quarterback. Everyone knows in the NFL, listen, most important piece on your team is your quarterback. Second most important piece of the team is the offensive line. Can you protect your quarterback? Third most important piece of your team is can you get to the opposing team's quarterback? We have one of the most slept-on defensive players in the entire league, Trey Hendrickson. Had an almost 20-sack season last year. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best free agent signings in this franchise's history. There's a reason that in the offseason he threatened retirement because he wanted to get paid more because he's earned it. But he signed a contract, so he's got to live up to it. Trey Hendrickson can't do it all. And we watch this team, and we know that there needs to be more pass rush. But every time that we get to talking about it, no one wants to acknowledge how we get there. Casey, will you show this stat? This is from Joe Goodberry. Bengals defensive line pass rush win percentage through 2 weeks. Trey Hendrickson, 30%. No one else clips above 10. Sheldon Rankins, who was our interior line that was supposed to give us more of a push, still not good. Sam Hubbard, B.J. Hill, 6.5, 6.1. All the backups at 0%. That's abysmal. That's unacceptable. And that cannot be. And this is where I'm talking about Myles Murphy, the Bengals' first-round draft pick from a year ago. Didn't get a whole lot of run last year. He's currently on the PUP list. He won't be back until week 5. We were talking about this in our group chat last night, and Jacob said, we need Myles Murphy to be a top 20 edge rusher in the league. I don't think we do. We need him to be a viable starter. The bar is so low for what Myles Murphy has to do to benefit this team. Because currently, other than Trey Hendrickson, no one's getting back there. I brought it up. Everyone wants to talk about how we need to get more pass rush. No one wants to talk about how we get there, and that is Sam Hubbard can't be taking the snaps that he gets. Not on passing downs. I know he's a Moeller kid. I know he's an Ohio State kid. I know he had one of the most electric plays that Paycor Stadium has ever seen in the 99-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown in the wild card playoffs against the Ravens. But we simply cannot have him consistently being a pass rusher on this team because he doesn't do what a pass rusher is supposed to do. He doesn't pressure the quarterback. Myles Murphy didn't get a whole lot of run last year. Myles Murphy won't be back till about week 5 or week 6. But when he comes back, can this line tread water till he comes back? And can Myles Murphy make an immediate impact on this team? And I think, personally, that the bar is incredibly low for him to make that impact. He doesn't need to be another Trey Hendrickson. Would love it if he is. Would love it if he looks like a true first-round edge rusher, a guy that was thought to be a top 10 pick before he fell in draft stock late in the year because they knew he was a little unrefined. Can he just be a competent starter in this league and give Trey Hendrickson some help? Can he be another piece on this defensive line that gets into the mind of the opposing quarterback, that gets into the mind of the offensive coordinator? Can when opposing teams watch tape early in the week, can the offensive coordinator, can the coach run in tape, go put a circle on Myles Murphy, like, hey, you got to watch out for this move, or you got to watch for this stunt. We can't let Myles Murphy do this to us. That's all I need. I don't need a 20 sack guy. I don't need him to be that. I don't need a 15-10. I don't need that. I need him to be a competent starter. I need him to put more pressure on the quarterback. I believe in our secondary. I thought our secondary played great. The linebackers have, after taking a major step back last year, their 2 games looked pretty good. Jermaine Pratt was fantastic against the Chiefs. Logan Wilson was fantastic against the Patriots. We've got to put pressure on the opposing quarterback. Now, it's a long time away. It's 3-4 weeks. We still got to get through there. But I think the bar is so low for Myles Murphy to be a competent starter, to affect this team positively, that we just need him back. And there's nothing you can do. But I guess the point of this whole thing is Sam Hubbard can't continue to take the snaps that he has. He can't. Doesn't get back there enough. He's had some of the greatest plays in this franchise's history. He's a hometown kid. We all love him. But he can't continue to take these snaps away from Myles Murphy.
How concerned are you with the Commanders coming to town with a rushing quarterback that if you don't put pressure on him, he's just gonna run around you all day, and if you do put pressure on him, he's still gonna run around you. That's the part of it where it's. I think last year he struggled with C.J. Stroud, he struggled with Lamar Jackson on the ground, and in the air, honestly. But you have these rushing quarterbacks coming in to play the Bengals, and it almost feels like they can do whatever they want. And it does. It doesn't feel like that to you?
No. Listen, I'm concerned about everyone in this team. When you're 0-2, seriously, when you're 0-2, I think we took a big just by the way they played against the Chiefs. I mean, I said no moral victories, but we all took a moral victory from that. Because they looked good. They looked like the team that we thought they were. Can they continue to take those strides? They're 8.5-point favorites, or 8-point favorites at home, Monday Night Football against the Commanders. It does. Rushing quarterbacks have been a bugaboo, or at least just one. One primarily, and he's probably the best rushing quarterback in the league, maybe one of the best in league history. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. Yeah, it's not just rushing guys. It's everyone. You've got to get to the quarterback. I just mentioned the ways that you win in this league. Once you get the quarterback, things come a little easier. If you don't have the quarterback, this game's really tough to win. Then you get the offensive line. Third most important piece is, can you put pressure on the opposing quarterback? And we're just not doing that at enough of a rate. Trey Henderson's fantastic. One of the most slept on. One of the most underrated defensive presences in the league. But the reason that national pundits don't talk about our defensive line, about our pass rushers, is because we don't have a guy that complements them. If Myles Murphy turns to be a 10-sack guy, we are now a threat to everyone. We are now a threat to every team that comes into the newly renovated Paycor Stadium. We are now a threat every time we go on the road because those quarterbacks don't have the time. Because some of our guys in the secondary that need more reps, Dax Hill that's moving to cornerback, Jordan Battle who's in his second year, Cam Taylor-Britt who's blossoming before our eyes. Those guys that are getting more reps, they have more or less time that they have to cover. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt over the middle. We just need someone that gets back to the quarter on the opposite side of the ball. Let me ask you this. When was the last time, truly, you're watching a game and you see Sam Hubbard just smoke a guy on a pass play?
Yeah.
I don't have a memory in my brain about that. Not once. He's not a threat. Love him. Local kid, Moeller kid, Ohio State guy. And he's had some great plays here. He's been a phenomenal draft pick. He's been a phenomenal Cincinnati Bengal. And he's still pretty good. He does a lot of things well. He's good against the run. We drop him back into coverage every once in a while in the flats and stuff like that, and he does a pretty decent job at that too. But when it comes to rushing the passer, he just can't get there. And we all want to talk about, you got to get to the quarterback. No one wants to talk about how we do that. And it's got to be Myles Murphy. 4 weeks, Myles Murphy has to be ready to play. Do I think he's going to, when he comes back from the PUP list, they're going to throw him into the starting role? No. He's gonna have to work into that role. But he's got to start taking these snaps away from Sam. He's got to.
The Bengals are working out free agent defense D-tackle Lawrence Guy. Lawrence Guy is a name they are working out. So
And another one. There are 2 in town today.
Albert Huggins.
Albert Huggins. So maybe the Bengals will sign one of these guys to help out.
I see a lot of people asking to kick Trey Hendrickson inside, and where that obviously
Sam
makes
Hubbard?
sense. Yeah, Sam
Sam
Hubbard.
Hubbard, yeah.
Yes, sorry, Sam Hubbard. Kick Sam Hubbard inside, while we have interior D-line depth concerns, and he's obviously not making a big enough difference on the outside. The expectation for pass rush from the inside is much lower, so maybe he could contribute there. That's not an easy move. I think a lot of people just think that that's just simply moving him from outside the tackle to inside the tackle, and he's going to be just fine. That's a very, very difficult move for a guy that struggles beating one-on-one pass blocking, not double teams, which we'll see a lot more on the inside. He obviously moved from safety to linebacker at Ohio State, and then linebacker to D-line as he got older. So he's shown the ability to put more weight on, move inside, and he's played inside a little bit for the Bengals, but it's such a drastic change to move him inside full-time that I don't think that's a move you make in the in-season. I think you make that move in the off-season when you have him put on some weight, move to the inside. We could see some packages maybe with him lined up in the inside in some pass rush situations like that last play against the Chiefs. Hopefully when we're healthy, we see Sam Hubbard lined up on the inside, Hendrickson and Murphy on the outside, and maybe a healthy Sheldon Rankins. That's a pretty exciting pass rush. I don't think he's a full-time interior D lineman, at least not yet. I'm not ruling that out at some point in his career, but I don't think that's the move the Bengals should make just yet.
And it shows Sam Hubbard. It shows how depleted they are on the interior line currently, and they need a nose tackle or someone who can play on the interior line that can stop the run, which is Sam's forte, right? Sam's pretty good at stopping the run, but it just shows how depleted they are that they'd put an undersized guy on the interior line, which, if you've watched a lot of football, that's normally not a good recipe. That's normally not a good. It normally doesn't work out too well when you put an undersized guy on the interior line. But all the same, the Bengals are going to struggle on the defensive line in the near future. Luckily, we have a softer schedule at the beginning of for the next few weeks. They do play the Ravens in a few weeks, but games that they should be favored in almost every single one, maybe sans except for the Ravens, at least for the next 4 weeks or so. So you've got to figure out a way until Myles Murphy gets him under his belt to kind of just stop the bleeding. Don't just get ran over when they run the ball on the interior, and we got to get to the quarterback on passing downs. Got to. All right, we're gonna talk about my top 10 in the NFL. My top 10 in the NFL. I'll see how it compares to Kenner's. I don't know if people liked Kenner's last week, but I'm
Will the Bengals be in your top 10?
Ooh, you'll maybe find out here soon.
The 0-2
Find out here
Bengals.
soon. We'll be right back. I do have an 0-2 team on there. We'll be right back on 1410 Wing AM Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers.
All right, time to pay the bills around here. It's the ad read section of our show. Pawnee Water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio.
Shake it again. Yeah.
You like that? That's
Yeah.
smooth water.
Would
It
you
doesn't
say
have any rocks in it.
Blanchester is in the country?
Yeah.
So you were from Blanchester,
Yeah,
making you a country boy.
that's right.
All right, country boy, shake it for me, boy.
There's a long developing play action there.
Yeah.
Lock in.
Pawnee Water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio, uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing other brands use. The result being a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNI-water.com so you can buy this great tasting water, the smooth water, the water that has no rocks in it. Just water. Literally. Look at the ingredients. The Bengals Report is proudly sponsored by Encore Technologies. At Encore, they deliver cutting-edge IT solutions for a data-driven world. From mobile computing and desktop support to advanced data center solutions, they help businesses enhance efficiency and
PRODUCTIVITY productivity.
That's right.
That was good
Good job,
timing.
Tim
That was good timing, Mark.
That was very good, guys. Visit encore.tech, where your path to innovation begins.
Where?
Here. Right here. Game
that chair.
Time, our ticketing sponsor app. Love Game Time. I've used it all summer. I know you guys have heard this song and danced before, but I just love it. I love Game Time. It has the best tickets available on the market. Has lots of great features where you can basically filter out all the tickets and kind of get to see exactly what you're looking for in terms of seating, pricing, which, by the way, you can see exactly where you're sitting at. Pricing's all up front. It is just one of the best, smoothest, and easiest apps to use out there. Love Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it, fellas?
Game time.
What time is it, fellas?
Game time.
What time is it?
Game time.
Game time.
That's right. Game Time. Download it today.
We do have a super chat.
We do have a super chat. Guys, please like the stream. We appreciate you all for being here. I'm having a lot of fun. I think we're going to do a little box lunch today.
Ooh.
I think we're going to do a little box lunch today.
A little
after the
boxy
show. Probably
walksy?
around like 12:30. We'll probably go because Casey's got to send all this stuff to the radio and everything like that, and it gives us a time to decompress. But we'll probably go box lunch around 12:30. We'll get to that super chat in a second. I want to give a quick shout out to Rowan Brown. Rowan Brown, he's a Baden kid. He helps me host the Ram Sports Show at Municipal Brew Works every Monday night. He also started a little clothing company, so I guess I'm giving him a free ad here. He made this for me.
Can he make me that?
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it?
I also want one. I was going to
say-
ask you after the show
I
where you
thought our
got
thing
that.
made it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it's
want-
fresh.
It's really, he just showed me. He got me this one, and he also made me a Rams football sweatshirt jersey.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like Baden on the front, it says mouse, and then he gave me number 8. He looked up my college
Hell
number,
yeah.
and I was like, whoa. If we're gonna do football numbers, I was 36.
Get it right.
But yeah, very nice.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, I was actually gonna potentially was gonna ask him. I mean, this is just me thinking out loud. He's a young kid, go getter. Maybe he could help run our merch store.
That looks
Yeah.
real
Maybe he
good.
maybe he can help run our merch
I'd
store.
certainly buy one of those.
So yeah, let's shout out to Rowan Brown. Super chat. Super chat.
Yep, hold on, and got it. Nate, member for 6 months.
Woohoo.
A 6-month member. Alabama quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, backup. Bryce Young, benched. Jalen Hurts, 2-9 in the last 11
He's
games.
an Oklahoma quarterback.
Tua, CTE. Quite the run of Alabama quarterbacks in the NFL. Seems like it's a place where quarterbacks fail. You didn't mention McCarron. You forgot McCarron. One of the greatest.
He was like a third-round pick.
So that's an
Was
Alabama.
he supposed to be good?
Yeah, he was supposed to
Listen,
be good.
He is
Listen,
an
I'm
XFL
a-
MVP.
He is an XFL MVP.
What else can he be?
It's as an Ohio State hater, and that's pretty well documented. I let it affect some of my opinions here. C.J. Stroud being one of them. Justin Fields being another. As an Ohio State hater, I think and it was a thing that we could use over Ohio State fans for a while is, an Ohio State quarterback never worked out in the NFL. I think that's a tired take in its entirety. How many schools have had multiple great quarterbacks come out? Because Tennessee gets Peyton Manning, they just get to live forever. They're like, we have Peyton Manning, like whatever. Like, I think that's tired. I think that's truly tired.
I also think people that try to diminish college careers based on NFL careers is one of my least favorite things ever. Like Bryce stinks in the NFL. I get it, but he also went to 2 playoffs, went to a national championship, won a Heisman. Like people acting like these guys. Mac Jones also won a national championship in 2020, finished 5th, top 5 in the Heisman race.
Yeah,
These guys that
Desmond
great-
Ritter got UC to their first
Right,
ever.
and he should be praised for his college career,
Exactly.
like UC fans do. I just don't see other fans have the same thing.
I just think it's really silly to just like, all right, Ohio State stinks because they've never had a quarterback work out in the NFL, or Alabama stinks because they're on a run of 7 straight quarterbacks that aren't working out in the NFL. But I'll tell you what, Purdue had Drew Brees. It's a great program. Texas Tech, Patrick Mahomes.
NC State, baby.
Yeah,
Wyoming, Josh Allen.
Noted juggernauts.
It's like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just like quarterbacks, they come out, and I actually asked the question, and we're doing this all off radio, and that's fine. I asked the question to you, Jacob, I think, and I think it's actually a pretty good question. If you're drafting a top quarterback, early in a, would you rather him go to like a Michigan or an Alabama or an Ohio State where 10 out of the 12 games he could do nothing, they're going to win the game? He's going to just show on up. They're going to win the game. He'll have crazy stats, and he's learning how to win, and he's if you want to call it that, and he's just dominating the competition. And then he plays in the biggest games of the year against the best competition twice a year. Or would you rather a guy, and Will Levis isn't a good example, but would you rather a guy like that would go to Kentucky or Ole Miss, where almost every week they are competing. Like, they're going to have to learn how to win some games. I think Josh Allen in Wyoming, he went to Wyoming, and they had like a 500 record. I think Patrick Mahomes had a sub-500 record in college. So, like, do you want a guy that's going to have to, like, earn out, sketch out every single win, or would you rather a guy go to the highest programs and just dominate, but get to play the best competition twice a year?
If all things are equal in terms of statistics and like film-wise, I think I would prefer the guy that's playing in closer games. But I just wonder how often that really does happen. I feel like a lot of times it's those lower guys that have put together one good season and they fly up draft boards, whereas you see a lot of times the bigger school starting quarterbacks go 2-3 years starting and then put together a lot more film. But if all things are equal, I think that's a very valid take to have, that you'd prefer the guy that battles a little bit more because they faced adversity instead of just having, everything quote unquote handed to them throughout their college career. And it's never easy in the NFL. So when you get to the NFL and you're going to have to step up in smaller pockets, maybe it's beneficial to have a worse O-line in college. And you have to score 45 in college because your defense sucks. Then you know what it takes late in games to get the job done. I think there's definitely merit to that, but it would require everything else to be equal with the big name quarterback.
Yeah, I'm just looking at I'm looking at some of the best quarterbacks in the league, and like Matt Stafford, he went to Georgia.
Yeah.
It's a good program, but they weren't dominating teams back when Stafford was there. I think they were a top 10 team.
They're pretty good.
But they're still 4, 5, 6 games a year, really competing, really having to learn how to win.
They weren't 48-0 in the regular season, the last 48.
Yeah.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy. That's the thing. He didn't have to do a whole lot, right? He didn't have to make the big plays and have to. That's just an interesting thought experiment. And my take is that I think it's really, really tired to belittle Alabama for not having a quarterback. I think it's really tired to belittle Ohio State for not having great quarterbacks come out, because I think it's just so random. And how many great quarterbacks are there in the NFL? 5, 6? How many colleges are there? 130, 140 Division I colleges? I just think it's a silly thing to belittle a thing. But as an Ohio State hater, sometimes you need something. You grasp at straws, baby. Just keep on plucking them out. Let's go back to Radio Land.
CJ's got us.
And we are back on Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Reed Mouse filling in for Justin Kinner all week long. Maybe. Certainly for the next few days. I'm having a lot of fun talking NFL. I had a revelation last night that I just love this freaking sport. I love it. Because every single game, it's 4 o'clock on Sunday, every game was going down to the wire. Last night, Monday Night Football, game goes down. It's just fantastic. It truly is. It really is amazing.
I think you were talking about it in the group chat last night. It was just you don't know what you do with your weeknights. During the summer, you have baseball. That's pretty much it, sporting wise. So if you're really into the Reds, like I am, or if you're really into the Cubs, like Reed is, we still have something every day. But over the course of a 162 game season, there's lulls. There's like points during it where you're like, do I really want to watch tonight? Not really. I would rather just go out and do something fun. NFL, it's like must watch television for the nights of the week. And it makes my week. Monday night I do something. Thursday night I do something. Sunday and Sunday night I do something. Saturday I'm watching college football. So it's like it makes me feel better. This is the best time of the year, and it's not remotely close.
We're so close to the perfect 7 days, too. We're like 4 weeks away from action on Tuesday, Wednesdays. You get Monday through Sunday of just wall-to-wall football.
I like when the postseason baseball's during the week. I really do enjoy
it. Yeah, no, that is good.
And that's when action starts, is after baseball starts.
I take this month off from baseball. The Reds are never really competitive right now, so I get to take a little breather for about 20 games, and then I get to watch the playoffs. It's always fun.
Yeah, it's great. Reed and I were talking about this before the show. What are your guys' thoughts on the Manning cast?
Sean Connor asked, the Manning cast. This is my take. This is my opinion on it. I like watching the game.
Yeah.
Like, I like watching the game.
Yep.
I think Eli and Peyton are incredibly entertaining. I like the clips that come out from that where, like, Peyton's breaking down or something happened funny with one of the interviews. But when I'm watching the game, I want to hear the broadcasters talk about the game. I don't need to see a watch along with two of the best quarterbacks in the like. Once again, I think they're entertaining, but like I'm sitting down, I want to watch the game. I don't know what your guys' opinion. It's a nice change up.
I like watching it back if there's key plays in the game or something. I like to see what Peyton and Eli have to say about it. They're obviously two great
That's
quarterbacks.
what you were saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the clips.
No,
I like the
I
clips.
think their insight's phenomenal. I would never, ever, ever watch it as my broadcast for the
No.
game. I just wouldn't be able to. They're not doing the same thing as broadcasters. You're going to miss some stuff that's happening in the game without listening to the standard broadcasters, and it certainly doesn't help that they have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman calling those games, who are phenomenal.
Remember when it was
phenomenal at what they do?
You remember when it was a fun thing to make fun of Joe Buck? To hate Joe Buck. And
He's
then,
incredible.
And it's like what I talked about earlier with like dynasties. It's like eventually like you hate them, then eventually it's like all right, they're pretty good. It's pretty good. That's what happened with Joe Buck. It used to be a fun thing to go like Joe Buck sucks, and you listen to him like who thinks Joe Buck sucks? Joe Buck's amazing. He's great. As talking about Sunday Night Football and stuff like that. Let me paint a picture for you, a conversation that you've never had, and this just shows how much greater the NFL is than all other sports. You will text your buddies, hey, what are you gonna do for Monday Night Football? Let's go to bar.
Yeah.
Let's go sit down and watch it. This conversation's never had. You see, Garrett Cole and Tanner Hawk are playing on Sunday Night Baseball. You want to go watch? You want to go watch that one at Champions Bar and Grill? Nope, that conversation's never happened.
Never.
No.
Even if the Reds were on Sunday Night Baseball,
That'll never happen.
you still wouldn't go like, hey, you want to go watch Hunter? Like they play on Sunday Night Baseball, you want to go sit around and watch that? No, it just doesn't happen. That just shows you how much better the NFL is. Speaking of the National Football League, it's Tuesday. We're wrapped up with 2 weeks, and here is my power rankings going in the top 10. I know you guys are going to have some disagreements with this, but let's go ahead and get it. Coming in at number 10, I have the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm gonna go through each and every one of these. The reason I have the Minnesota Vikings at number 10, I said it all off season that rookie quarterbacks should want to go to Minnesota. I think that Kevin O'Connell is the most slept-on coach in the league. I think that they have a good line, they have good weapons, and Sam Darnold is flourishing in that system. They took out the San Francisco 49ers just this week and really dominated that entire game. I think their defense is much improved. Because it is Sam Darnold, even though he looks good, I am tentative to put him up higher because I think quarterback is so important. But Minnesota's coming in at 10. Coming in at number 9, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The thing about the Buccaneers is, once again, they look great. And I think we are almost belittling what this current run of the Buccaneers has been.
Stop that.
Because they had Tom Brady. But Baker Mayfield has kind of picked up right where it left off. It's amazing to see Baker Mayfield kind of flourishing as a former Baker hater because of his personality, his persona. You like to see that kid because he's smaller size. He just kind of has a chip on his shoulder, and now it's showing, and he's playing great football. Do I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and once again, the Vikings and the Buccaneers beat the 49ers and Lions this week, but when push comes to shove late in the season, I still like the Lions and the 49ers to take those games. But here in week 2, you got to give them credit. Green Bay's a weird team. Green Bay's a weird team because I had a lot of expectations for them. I had tremendous expectations for them. I thought Jordan Love is great. I thought they have a lot of talent. I think Matt LaFleur, once again, similar to Kevin O'Connell, is slept on as a head coach in this league. Offense looks great. They're young. Then I watched that Eagles game, and I know it went down to the wire, but I wasn't impressed with the Philadelphia Eagles or the Packers. I thought there were a lot to be desired on the defensive side of the ball, but I still have belief in LaFleur. I still have belief in Jordan Love. I think 8's a nice spot for him. Baltimore Ravens. It was a trendy pick in the offseason to say that the Baltimore Ravens are going to fall down. I think they are too well run. I think between their front office, I think John Harbaugh, who I think Jacob said that they're calling for his job. Yeah. I know they're 0-2. They truly have a chance to start 0-5.
Only coach in the NFL with a challenge percentage under 30%.
They have a chance to start 0-5. They play tough teams. They play the Cowboys. They play the Saints. They play us in the next 3 weeks. Those aren't gimmies. They can win all 3 and go 3-2, but they also could really start the season 0-5, 2-3, 1-4, something along those lines. But I think between John Harbaugh, who I respect as one of the best coaches in the league, rightfully so, and Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, and just the way that they're ran, I think that they're going to be able to figure it out because they always seem to do. Jim Harbaugh, I said this yesterday, he doesn't get enough credit in all. I think he might be the best football coach. I think he might be the best football coach currently. That's Andy Reid. That is some fan. I mean, with Saban and Urban Meyer gone and everything like that, I think he might be the best football coach. In fact, if you are an NFL team or if you are a college football team and you said, "Hey, let's pluck one guy to start our franchise," I think you'd be a fool not to take Jim Harbaugh because everywhere he's gone, he has turned them into really good teams. Stanford, San Francisco 49ers, Michigan, and now the Los Angeles Chargers. Only 2-0. They haven't looked amazing or anything like that, but you see some of the same hallmarks of a Jim Harbaugh coach team, and that is a physical bunch. If you watch the Chargers, they look physical. I don't know what he does. I don't know if it's the pep talks. He's incredibly entertaining. But, man, the Chargers, they got a great quarterback. They've got a good coach. It's a quarterback-coach league, and they look physical. I like the Chargers at number 6. Coming in number 5, I have the Detroit Lions. Everyone going into the year probably had the Lions around 3, 4, somewhere in that bunch. They lose a game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and people started to want to be like, all right, I don't know what you have here. And they should have lost to the Rams in week 1. But this is such a complete roster. I don't think Jared Goff looks amazing at this current time. I don't think he looks that great. He looks a little immobile. But that roster around him is just too good. 2 really good running backs, great line, great pass rush, plenty of weapons. The secondary still leaves a little to be desired, but Dan Campbell, he's a shticky coach. He's a shticky coach, and if things go awry, he can rub you the wrong way in a hurry. But where it currently sits right now, you got to like the Detroit Lions, and I still think that they are one of the true contenders in the NFC. That's why I have them as the second best team in the NFC. Houston Texans, starting to eat some crow on them. I said, what was my take? No one gets more credit for getting blown out in the postseason than the Houston Texans. I think I let some bias toward C.J. Stroud and Ohio State guide my judgment there because C.J. Stroud looks dang good. He looks dang good. And I applaud. I think the Texans made some weird moves. You know, they get Stephon Diggs, they get Joe Mixon, and then immediately give them both extensions, which just seemed weird. Overpay. It just seemed weird. But man, oh man, defensive head coach, normally don't like those. But this team looks a couple weeks away from being one of the true contenders. I currently have them at 4. Buffalo Bills, trendy pick to belittle the Buffalo Bills, but I think people are forgetting just how great Josh Allen. If you had me do a QB rankings, if you had me do a tier list, I think Patrick Mahomes is alone in his own tier. I think Josh Allen maybe should be alone in his own tier. And I think the rest fall out from there. And I'm not going to belittle the Buffalo Bills anymore until Josh Allen. Is the roster a little depleted from years past? Maybe. But maybe it gives them a little more clarity without a Stephon Diggs there bogging up the news cycle. 2, San Francisco 49ers, most complete roster. I know they lost, but that's the most complete roster. Brock Purdy does a really good job at just understanding what his role is. I actually heard a take this week. Why do we use the term game manager as a negative connotation? That's what a quarterback is supposed to do. It's supposed to manage the game. Brock Purdy, amongst the best to do it in the NFL already in his young career, and how can you not have the Kansas City Chiefs at 1? They look better than they did last year. This honestly looks to be a better team than 2 years ago when they won both of the last Super Bowls. Obviously, I didn't have some teams in there that you can pick and pull. Obviously, I didn't have our hometown Bengals. I don't know at 0-2, losing to the Patriots, even though they did look good against the Chiefs. I think that if they win a couple games here in the next 2 weeks against the Commanders and the Panthers, they're easily in that top 10 category because, I mean, they took the Chiefs down to the wire. They have the exact same resume as the Baltimore Ravens, who I have in there. The Eagles, I think they need to get rid of Nick Sirianni. They're not in there. The New Orleans Saints, blown out 2 teams. How do I not have the Saints in there? Not buying them yet. Cowboys, Cardinals looked really good. Jets look okay. Those are all teams that are outside the bubble.
Can I debunk your list?
Yeah.
You're not going to buy the Saints for blowing out 2 teams, one of which was the Cowboys. The Chargers are your 6th-ranked team. They've beaten the Raiders, and they've beaten the Panthers.
Who would you bet on if the Saints play the Chargers this week? Because I would comfortably bet on the Chargers.
If it's in New Orleans, I'm going to bet on the Saints.
Yeah.
Who's the head coach of the New Orleans Saints?
Right.
Dennis.
the worst head coach of all time.
Who's the quarterback? Who would you rather have be the coach of your team? Jim Harbaugh? Yeah?
Or Dennis?
Yeah.
Probably Jim. But listen,
Who would you rather be the quarterback of your team?
I'm just saying,
Jim
their
Harbaugh
2-0,
or
their
Justin
2-0 is worse than the Saints 2-0.
This is power rankings. Who you think would win a
I'm
game?
actually with Elliot on this.
Thank you,
The Chargers
Casey.
are very one-dimensional right now. If you look at Justin Herbert, he's been bad.
Terrible.
They have no receivers.
Terrible.
Saints could have an easy game plan against that offense. It'd come down to who's got a better defense, and I could argue that the Chargers have a way better defense. But with how explosive the Saints are, I don't know, man. I'll ride the hot hand until otherwise.
They look good.
I agree with Casey.
They really do look good. And I saw some clips. I saw some scheming that the Saints did, and it is impressive. I mean, you scored 90 points in the first 2 weeks. Don't look past that whatsoever. And I was listening to someone like, hey, these Saints, start taking some credit on them. I'm not doing the September, this team's amazing. We did that last few years with the Miami Dolphins. I think some people are putting Miami Dolphins as the best team in the NFL based off of how they played in September last year. Come back to me in November. And tell me who's better, the Chargers or the Saints. All right? I'll eat crow. I'll go outside. I'll put a scarecrow out there and walk right to our door because the crows will be scared of the
I don't
scarecrow.
think you should eat any animals.
And then I'll cook them in our little kitchenette out there, microwave them, just nuke the bird. And I'll eat them live on air. I'll eat the crow live on air.
Birds.
You think the crow is a nervous bird?
Yeah, he is.
Gets scared by a stuffed mannequin.
I like Reed's rankings, honestly.
I liked him except for the Chargers. I
don't
think
know
the
how-
Chargers is silly.
I think the Chargers absolutely belong. I would actually probably have them in my top 5 above the Lions. But their rushing offense is unbelievable. Herbert's great, and it's the best coach in the league, in my opinion.
Herbert's great.
Great.
He's been great
quarterback.
this year?
No, but he's a great quarterback. I think
Okay.
he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league in tier 3.
So my
after
question
Mahomes
for
and
power
Allen
rankings,
alone.
are they a week 3 power rankings, or is this a power rankings for the entire season based on the information we've been given?
It's who we think are the best teams in the league right now.
You're asking me who I think the best teams in the league. If I wanted to do it based on how you played,
You can do an AP poll, put the Saints at 1.
well, no. If I want to do it based on who played, I'll just all right, this team's 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Here's the 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, and then here's 0-2.
Yeah.
I'm doing it based on how good I think your team is.
Okay.
And I don't think the Saints are very good.
The one question I would have is the Ravens at 7 and no Bengals when they have the same 0-2. A touchdown favorite at home to a bad team and a very, very, very close loss to the Chiefs in Kansas City. And I think
Bengals
you
outplayed.
could argue that the Bengals played a closer game.
Get it?
So
Listen,
that
I
was
get
the
it.
only pushback I would have.
That's fair. That's rightful pushback. I'm giving credence to John Harbaugh's a better coach than Zach Taylor. I believe that. I think the Ravens are a better run organization than the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Joe Burrow's better than Lamar Jackson. But, if I did a tier ranking, they'd be right there. Boom, boom.
And then the Packers at 8 at 1-1 with the question marks about Jordan Love. Are you putting them at 8 with Malik Willis? Or are you putting them at 8 because Jordan Love was questionable last week, maybe playing this week, probably back soon? How does that affect that ranking?
So I want to assume that Jordan Love is going to play in the very near future.
Okay.
So that's where that comes
Then
from.
I agree.
So if we're doing it off, that's actually more of a fair criticism about week 3. It's like, is it a week 3 rankings? They should be out if it's just based off week
Right.
3, which, spoiler, did this like 10 minutes before the show. But here's the thing, is like, I'm doing this on the assumption that Jordan Love is going to be back in the very near future. And I'm a believer in Jordan Love. I'm a believer in Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers.
Blackmore says, where's Casey's stink list? You can see that on Thursday night at Champions Grill. See you there, Blackmore.
Yeah, Champions Bar and Grill, Thursday nights.
Buccaneers rounded out your list there. Buccaneers are a fun little team.
They're a good team.
That's a fun team.
So now that Baker's no longer in the AFC North, he's very easy to root for.
Yeah, 100%.
He's very easy to root for. It's the shtick of I've got a chip on my shoulder when you're the number 1 overall pick doesn't play. That doesn't play. So that's why I didn't play in Cleveland. But now that the team that drafted you gave up on you, and they bring in somebody else who looks terrible and you're flourishing in other places and you've been to 3 different teams now before you get to where you're going now, and now you're flourishing, that's fun to root for. That's easy to root for. Case?
There's only one other team that I think we haven't really mentioned that I think deserves a lot of kudos despite them losing in week 1. The Cardinals are phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I had them on my bubble. I had 6 teams outside the top 10 that other people, I think you can logically say that these are top 10 teams. I had the Bengals, Eagles, Saints, Cowboys, Cardinals, and Jets. I'm a Kyler Murray believer.
So you guys, you try to preach to me Kyler Murray is, really, really good. I do understand he's pretty good outside the pocket. I still have concerns about him throwing inside the pocket over top of his lineman. He still refuses to throw over the middle of the field. But there was a clip this week where he's rolling around, he's avoiding pressure, and he throws a dart in the back of the end zone. He doesn't even watch the end of the play. He's already celebrating like he's scored. I mean, that's some swagger.
He's been doing it his whole career. People just forget because of a few injuries. Kyler Murray's been an incredible quarterback every single season he's played healthy in the NFL. The Cardinals looked competitive with him last year when he took over as starter. I think the injuries and the contract clause about Call of Duty have made a lot of people turn on Kyler Murray as opposed to just watching the football, because he was pretty dang good at Oklahoma, and he's been pretty good every step of the way with the Cardinals. Their defense still has a long way to go, so I wouldn't necessarily have him in the top 10, but yeah, definitely on the bubble, which is exciting to see.
I think if you asked owners, GMs, you could have the quarterback you currently have, or you can go and take Kyler Murray, same money, same situation. I think close to 24 of them would take Kyler Murray, 20 to 24.
I always say top 12, so we're in the same boat.
Yeah, I mean, you can either the Bengals win it, Ravens win it, Chargers win it, Chiefs, Bills win it, Packers probably win it. Yeah, I like this team. You can call me crazy, and I constantly belittle Brock Purdy. Imagine that team with Kyler Murray. That team is incredible, unstoppable. Kyler Murray. I think the Lions are much better with Kyler Murray. I think there's a lot of teams that would benefit from a Kyler Murray, but he's just been in Arizona. So I think it was in 2020 season. They were 8-0. He took that terrible roster, started 8-0, went to the postseason, won 11 games. I think they got blown out in the first postseason game, but whatever. Cardinals, watch out for them. And the NFC is a lot more. It's a lot tougher this year than it was last year. But I do like the Cardinals out there in the West. But we're gonna take a short break. Then we got a mixed bag. Dealer's choice for the 6th segment of the show. Dealer's choice. As you guys know, I planned 5 segments. Here comes segment number 6.
I got a question. I got an NFL question for you guys.
You want to do it when we come back?
Yeah.
We'll do it when we come back. Good tease by Ellie Rue. We'll be back on 1410 Wing AM. And we are back on Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Remounts filling in for the J-Dog, the JK, Justin Kenner. Remounts trying along here with Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett, Casey McAllister. Day 2 of the week that I get a host. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. You had a question that you wanted to present to us.
Who are your biggest winners and losers from the past 2 weeks of the NFL season? You can do teams, you can do players. Who are the biggest standouts and who are the biggest duds for the first 2 weeks?
Okay, I'm gonna group a lot in with the biggest losers. The biggest losers through the first 2 weeks are the rookie quarterbacks.
I agree.
I don't think a single one of them's thrown a passing touchdown. I think is that true?
That's
correct.
I think that's
true.
correct.
I don't think a single.
It's only the 3 starting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jaden, Caleb, and Bo.
Yeah, I was just making sure I didn't miss anyone. Yeah, they haven't.
Right? So am I missing anybody?
Penix is benched. JJ's hurt.
Drake's not playing.
Drake's not playing.
Okay.
Yep.
Regardless, the rookie quarterbacks, they don't look good. They don't look good. But I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be fair to them. How many offenses look like they're firing on all cylinders? I think we have the fewest amount of points scored in the first 2 weeks since 2017. I think I saw this stat that it's the fewest amount of passing touchdowns since 2006. I don't know what the difference is because the NFL is continuing to push offense. They're continuing for quarterbacks, but I don't know. It just for one reason or another, the passing game isn't getting there, and it's kind of interesting because we've belittled.
Nevertheless,
We've got to. Things are cyclical in the NFL,
That's a good word.
and for a long time, running backs ruled the roost. Now, over the past 10 years, guys like me, guys around the league have noticed that, hey, maybe you can get a cheaper running back. You don't have to spend money. Now it's seeming like guys that run the ball win a lot more, or at least the passing game is coming, and it seems like running is becoming king. So we'll see if it comes back that way. But biggest losers, I think, are the rookie quarterbacks. I think talent-wise, it's one of the better rookie classes we've seen in a long time. It's not as good as 2020 when Joe Burrow was drafted. All those quarterbacks seem to be hits.
Yeah.
When your worst quarterback is Tua or Jordan Love, it's a pretty good hit. But for some reason, first 2 weeks has just been really tough for those guys.
Yeah. My winners the past 2 weeks has been by far the Minnesota Vikings, but more specifically, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, I think, is the biggest winner for the past 2 weeks. I have doubted him. I think the whole world doubted him. Year 7, as Jacob says, the year 7 bump. I didn't believe in him, and he's shown out that he can work that offense and potentially get that team to a postseason. I know they're dealing with a couple injuries right now, but nonetheless, there it is again. I do think he is by far the biggest winner. The biggest loser, I don't think it's particularly close. I think it's Will Levis. Will Levis is bouncing off the season with a lot of hype. He had I think he gave the Titans fans some hope towards the end of last season, a couple good games, and then this year it's been an absolute disaster. We talk about Bryce Young. I've talked about he who shall not be named in Cleveland. Will Levis is near the bottom, if not the bottom right now. Not to mention his head coach keeps bullying him. But that's a rightful bully, I would say. That's a rightful bully.
So it sounded like you have another winner in Gia Duddy because she won the breakup.
Correct. I'm gonna give another winner, by the way, to my guy Gardner Minshew, who just never gives up in this league, never gives up, and he led the Raiders to a big win over the Ravens.
And because of that, one of my biggest losers so far is the Raiders. I think Gardner Minshew is going to play them out of a position to draft a decent quarterback, and they're going to be stuck with him or another mid-level free agency signing for the last few years of Devontae Adams there. I think Gardner Minshew is good enough to win them probably 6, 7, 8 games, and that's the worst place to be for the Raiders.
Listen, hear me out. Hear me
Am
out.
I wrong?
Hear me out.
You're not wrong, but you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that like that.
You're not wrong. Can I say a-hole?
Yeah.
You guys, Big Lebowski fans, you're not wrong. You're just an a-hole.
My biggest winner of the week actually would be the running backs across the league. Passing is down. Passing touchdowns are down. We've seen over the last few weeks that last few years, running backs being devalued in the offseason with lack of contract extensions and everything like that. We've now seen multiple running backs go to second teams and succeed. Saquon, obviously the drop last night, but he's looked great so far in Philadelphia. Derrick Henry struggled a little bit early in the Week 2 game, but he's done well in Baltimore so far. Josh Jacobs taking a lot of carries in Green Bay. Aaron Jones thriving in Minnesota. Running backs on second teams are doing well, and that means Reed and I are also losers for being anti-running backs because they're sticking it to us right now.
No, it's just it's interesting because, like I said, things are cyclical in the league, and I think when I was really boistering back when Trey, like we did Box Lunch like 2 years ago, me and Trace would like co-host it, and I would always tell him that running backs don't matter, and at the time I was right, but he said like it'll come back into vogue because everything does, right? Like everything comes in waves, right? It's all cyclical. Fashion cyclical, music cyclical. It's all cyclical, and it's punch, counter punch. And now that everyone's figuring out how to stop passing games, the run game is going to be there in the very near future. And just like where running backs were the commodity that you could easily replace, it might be that receivers are that commodity in the near future. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm going to throw a hypothetical out to you.
Ooh.
If what you said is true, if what you said is true, if Gardner Minshew and the Las Vegas Raiders say win 8 games, they win 8 games. They get themselves way out of a postseason run. The Falcons, middling success, right? They're not as great as everyone. Like they're not like an 11-win team or 10-win team, and clearly win that South. And say the last few weeks, either Kirk with his Achilles injury bangs it up again, and Michael Penix starts playing, and he looks really good. Is there a scenario in which the Falcons, knowing that they sat Michael Penix, who they believed in, for a year, hey, we'll let him start next year, and they trade away Kirk Cousins to the Raiders? Can you see a scenario in which that happens?
I think it certainly would be interesting, and I think people never really thought about the Kirk Cousins trade aspect when they went and drafted Penix. Everyone points to Kirk Cousins being a 4-year deal with a lot of guarantees. it's important to remember that those guarantees are done after 2 years. They can cut them after 2 years with basically nothing left on the books, and I think that's why a team could be interested in moving them. If it gets ugly, and it certainly started to look ugly last night before the comeback, then I think they could move to Penix earlier than later in this season, even maybe. I don't know how long the leash is on Kirk Cousins because I think they have pieces to win. That defense is ready to go, and the weapons on offense certainly seem to be ready to go as well. So I think moving Kirk Cousins, I don't know what the trade value would be, though, because for the Falcons to move off of him, he would have to not be very good. So then you're trying to trade a big contract of a guy that didn't get you to the playoffs to a team with a less talented roster in a harder division.
I don't think it has to be that he didn't look very good. Say he looks good, he just gets banged up. And Michael Penix takes over, and with all the weapons and a good offensive line, he looks pretty good. And they're just like, hey, let's just ride with this. He sat for a year, and Max Vickers puts in there. You'd assume Raiders would want to go with a young quarterback, not if they win 8 games.
Then
you're
win 9 games.
And you're just like, all right, let's. Gardner was good, but I think we can all agree that Kirk Cousins, he's a veteran. He's won a lot of games in this league, and you trade him over there, and it's a quarterback-driven division over there in the AFC West. Obviously with Patrick Mahomes, and obviously with Justin Herbert. I think it'd just be interesting. I think that'd be an interesting setup. I think there's a lot of teams that don't have a clear identity. They don't have a clear identity right now, and the Raiders are certainly at the top of that list. Certainly at the top of that list. Casey, do you have a biggest winner and loser?
My biggest loser, I'm surprised no one's mentioned it yet, Trevor Lawrence. He looks bad.
He was on the list.
He looks bad.
Jacksonville is terrible.
He was a loser before the season.
Yeah, you're probably right. Biggest winner, honestly, I'll go with the Chargers. I think that they're a team that we didn't know what to expect, and they've just come out smash mouth football, exactly what he said he was going to do, and it's worked so far. They haven't played the greatest teams yet, but it's working as of right now. So I'll give kudos to the Chargers, and I'll give kudos to Tampa Bay. They've really shocked me. Their offense, Baker Mayfield, look really, really good right now. They've totally changed my mind on how to view the NFC South. I think there's a lot of teams to compete for that right now.
They might be the biggest winner.
Huh?
That division might be the biggest
division.
winner.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Everyone thought that division was going to be garbage, and then Baker's an MVP candidate, Derek Carr's an
Saints.
MVP candidate through 2 weeks.
I'm not doing MVP candidates through 2 weeks, but they
I love doing MVP candidates.
because here's the thing.
Derek
You
Carr,
do
winner.
MVP candidates through 2 weeks. If a guy has a 2-week portion and hit on week 7 and 8, you're not like, these guys.
No, but that's the beauty of week 1 and 2.
Right. It's a blank slate. I'll be honest. I was looking at the Chargers. So you said one of your biggest winners was the Chargers, and you really didn't know what to expect. I disagree with that notion because I think based off of Jim Harbaugh's body of work, I think he knew exactly what to expect, which is he took over a place that wasn't living up to expectations, and he makes them a physical bunch, and they start winning right away because that's what he's done in his last 4 stops. Stanford, I think, won 1 game, 2 games the year before he got there. They win 10. The San Francisco 49ers were 6-10, 5-11 a few years before they get there, and immediately 13-3. Michigan, more of the same. And here, I think that they are competitors. They win their first 2 games once again against not great competition. Panthers, who are the worst team in the league. Raiders, who they had a big win this past week, but whatever. They play in Pittsburgh this week, this Sunday. The Chargers do. Mm-hmm. Have you guys looked at the lines? Mm-hmm. Go ahead and handicap it. Handicap this. I know the line. Handicap this.
You know it?
Yeah.
All right. It's where?
It's in Pittsburgh. 2-2.
Ugly game, low-scoring game. I bet that total wouldn't be above 41.5.
Okay, I was spread.
Well, okay, that's fine. I'm just thinking out loud here. Spread, you got to give 3 points to the Steelers just because they're at home, but the Steelers aren't very good. I'm going to say the Chargers are 1.5-point favorites.
Steelers 2.5.
Steelers 2.5 is correct.
Oh,
They're
wow.
2.5-point favorites, and the line is 35.5. The total is 35.5.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay. So I nailed one of them.
I don't think the Chargers will be favored in that game.
Well, you're off by a touchdown.
Yeah.
You said 40. You said 41.
I said it won't be above that.
You're off by a touchdown.
Yeah, it won't be above 60 either.
I mean, are we making fun of Elliott today? That was a good prediction. 41's not a high total in the NFL.
I love the Chargers spread so freaking much
That I'm going to bet the Steelers.
that I'm gonna bet. Yeah. Well, I can't do that. My heart can't do that.
I love me
but
some
I'm just
Justin
gonna stay away.
Fields.
I'm gonna stay away from it so badly because I love that Chargers spread. Oh my God. Why are the Chargers 2-point dogs
You have to
Pittsburgh?
bet your life on the Steelers. You just have to do it.
Golly.
The last time I bet on a spread, I didn't understand. The Saints blew out the Cowboys.
That's right.
So,
Golly. That's crazy. I mean, yeah,
Steelers
speaking
good
of which,
run defense. Chargers pretty one-dimensional through 2 weeks so far this season. I can understand why that's the thought, but you just need Herbert to play decently and he wins.
Chase Wellman, Steelers 16-15 win. Seems like a Steelers
Probably.
Jim Harbaugh game.
Yeah.
Seems like a Steelers Jim Harbaugh game. Yeah, it is interesting to think about what the Steelers or what the Chargers will be going forward because it is that smash mouth football style. Are you going to get the most out of Justin Herbert if you're playing that kind of a game? I think it's a good way in the interim to win a lot of games and be competitors, but are you fully going to utilize Justin Herbert's talents, who is one of the best slingers in the league, one of the most talented guys in the league? I really like Justin Herbert watching him play. But that does it for us today on 1410 Wing AM. This is Off the Bench. Thank you to Casey, Jacob, and Elliot for being here today. I'll be here all week. And thank you to Kenner for letting me fill in. I'll be here at least tomorrow and Thursday. I think I'm going to do a QB tier list.
Okay.
I think I'm going to do a QB tier list. I think I'm going to try and get us a guest lined up over the next 2 days.
Very
so
nice.
That's what I'm hoping to do. We'll see if that actually happens.
Before we get out of here on radio, 6 p.m. tonight, Chatterbox Bengals will be live on the Chatterbox YouTube, and then shortly after, it'll be available everywhere you listen to podcasts. So make sure you tune in as we look back at some of the key plays of the Bengals-Chiefs game and then start to preview Monday Night Football a little bit. Should be a fun week. First show of the week tonight, 6 p.m., live on Chatterbox YouTube. Second show Thursday at Champions, but you'll hear more about that as the week progresses. Make sure you tune in tonight.
All right, so that does it from us here in Hamilton, Chatterbox Studios. This has been Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, 1410 Wing AM. We'll see you tomorrow. So I just got the push notification for ESPN's Power Rankings,
Very nice.
and my top 5 is incredibly similar to their top 5, only difference being the Bills. They had the Bills as the second best team, and the Niners as the third best team. But their 6 through 10 is much different than mine. They have the Eagles at 6. I had the Eagles out.
Yep.
They had the Bucks at 7. I had the Bucks at 9.
10, yeah, 9.
9.
Good Vikings at 10.
I had the Chargers at 6. They have the Chargers at 8. They had the Saints at 9. I had the Saints off. They had the Seahawks, another 2-0 team, at number 10. Seahawks probably got. I should have at least mentioned them.
Seahawks have played Denver and then the Patriots. It just depends on how you feel about the
Whoa, Patriots good team.
Chargers, Raiders, and Panthers, though.
Yeah. I mean, I love Geno Smith. He's been phenomenal. He's been one of the better quarterbacks in the league so far.
Top 10?
Played like it so far.
That was gonna be my winner too. I know I mentioned Sam Darnold and Gardner Minshew, but Gardner Minshew, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, all guys we thought like their career was.
Can you imagine me telling you 3 weeks ago? It's like, all right, we're going to do a review 2 weeks into the season, and these are the quarterbacks that we are going to be singing the praises of. You ready? And you'd be like, I was like, guess them, Ellie. And you're like, all right, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. And we're still doing it with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. But the real names we're singing are Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith,
Baker
Mayfield.
Yeah, it's wild. It's. I think that goes to show that your guys' situation take might be right. Maybe all these guys need is a good situation.
No,
and some of them weren't in a good situation, because I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think you look at Baker Mayfield's situations. Carolina, failure. Browns, obviously the Browns suck, failure. And he's like
that worked.
It worked.
And they moved off of him.
It worked. But nonetheless, let me bash the Browns for 1 second.
I feel like that's worse on the Browns, though. You finally hit on a quarterback and you run him out of town for whoever the heck you got playing.
Well, they had to go sign Voldemort. So, and then you look at guys like Gardner Minshew, who I think has been serviceable everywhere he's been. And maybe he'll never get the chance, like Jacob said, because nobody wants to have Gardner Minshew as a starting quarterback in this league, and that's a fair point. But I won't say it. I stopped myself. I do think though that like if you give a most, like I would say 17, 18 quarterbacks in the NFL a very good situation. If you gave the top 18 quarterbacks the 49ers offense, every single one of them would be Brock Purdy or that caliber of quarterback.
Yeah, it's Sean Spurlock. When we have arguments about the NFL, he frequently, rightfully so, mentions, like, because I'm a big quarterback man. Like, you get a good coach, you get a good quarterback, you're going to win a lot of games in this league. And he goes, no, 22 players play, right? 22 players play. It's not just one. And one time I asked him, I was like, what percentage do you think a quarterback is to a team's success? And I put it around a quarter, well over, I don't know, a third?
Yeah.
And he was like 10%, 5%. Like, we all acknowledge that the quarterback is the most important position on the field. To be a fool not to acknowledge that. But there is the sense. I somehow try to tightrope when I give my opinions on the NFL. I tried to tightrope my overarching opinion, that is, quarterback is the most important thing to your team. You have a great quarterback, you're going to win games. Like Joe Burrow, I truly believe, could overcome. Right? That's actually a way that a lot of people view quarterback. It's you win because of, you win with, you lose because, you lose with, or you lose because of. Like, that's the 4 tiers that people put quarterbacks in. And I think Joe is in that first. Like, I think Joe could have gone to a myriad of different situations and had success. But that doesn't belittle. Like, Patrick Mahomes, I think, is the greatest. I think he's the second greatest quarterback of all time, as is. And I think he's got an opportunity to be the greatest quarterback. I'd be a fool. I'd be an absolute fool to not acknowledge that part of his success is going to a team that made the 6 prior playoffs.
Yeah.
The playoffs 6 prior years. And going to a coach that has had success everywhere he's been with every quarterback he's had. He revamped Michael Vick's career. He had Donovan McNabb looking like a top 5 quarterback in the league. He had Alex Smith looking more than serviceable. And Alex Smith won in a lot of places. So, like, I think both things can be true. I think that, yes, there are quarterbacks, and yes, talent can supersede some things, but then you also have to go to a good situation. I think Justin Herbert is so tremendously talented, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. I think that he had one of the worst NFL coaches that I've ever seen. Someone so far in over his head that it would never work with Herbert, even though he did make the postseason one year and should have made it his first 2 years in the league. And now he's got Harbaugh. I think he's going to win. And it's why I preach that if you're a rookie quarterback going into this year, you want to go to the Minnesota Vikings and not the New England Patriots. Why? Well, you're thinking about, we don't give the Vikings enough credit. We don't give them enough credit, but over their tenure as a franchise, they've done pretty well offensively.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins was pretty good. Brett Favre in the twilight of his career, pretty good. Dante Culpepper was pretty good. Like, that's a franchise that does it right. And the Patriots, I mean, you could sit there and go like, haven't the Patriots always? They had Tom Brady, and like the divorce of that showed that may have been more Tom Brady. But now the most recent quarterbacks, Cam Newton went there, couldn't figure it out. Mac Jones looks good for a year, but then it didn't look good. Bailey Zappi, like all of it looks like a dumpster fire out there offensively. Jacoby Brissett's doing all right. But it's they're playing smash mouth wing team football. They're just trying to control the pace of the game. And that's why I said you'd rather go to the Vikings than you would the Patriots. Situation matters, talent matters, it all matters. The question that we keep asking ourselves is, what matters more? What matters more?
Is there a good quarterback on a bad team?
Like making that team good, or the
No.
team
I'm
is still bad?
I'm saying, is there a team out there that has a really good quarterback and the team is also really bad?
So I would say that the Cardinals, for the past few years, when Kyler played, I think Kyler Murray's a really good quarterback. And I think that the Cardinals were bad.
Okay.
So that's one that comes to mind.
I don't think there's many others, though.
I can't.
I don't think there's many others, which goes to show that if you have the quarterback.
Well, no, it's a chicken or the egg thing, right?
Well,
is the quarterback good because of the team, or is the team good because of the quarterback? So that does play.
Like
I
the
think
Commanders were bad.
I think you could have looked at the Bills this year. The Bills are the ultimate litmus test this season because I thought there's a chance that team's bad. They have Josh Allen and not a whole lot else. They're 2-0. They look good. Josh Allen looks fantastic. I hope he wins an MVP because I'm rooting for the guy. But that would be a team for me. Like if it didn't work, if they were like I don't know, if they had 8 wins this year, 8-9, and Josh Allen had an MVP caliber season, that's like one of the rare instances where that's ever happened. I think you have to have a really good quarterback to be competitive.
How many
Look at
bad
Drew Brees.
quarterbacks are on good teams, though?
And more.
Like, that's a better question because I think there's more.
I think there's a lot more.
Yeah.
You look at Drew Brees. I mean, I know he won a Super Bowl with the Saints, but there was a stretch there where they were just lighting people up on offense, and their team was so bad defensively they would have to score 40 points and still lose.
Yeah.
Like there's instances like that. I don't know about this year though. I guess the Bills are the best litmus test for that. I don't know if there's any other quarterbacks though at the moment. Stafford.
Chase brings up a good
Oh
point.
yeah, Stafford. The Rams aren't going to be very good. I actually really
The
like
Rams
the
are going to be very good because they're hurt.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Like,
but
if they were healthy,
he's
they're
gonna.
fine.
They're probably going to be pretty bad this year.
If they were healthy, they could have made the playoffs.
I know, but
Easily.
I'm telling you right now that because they are hurt, Stafford will still be a really good quarterback. He's probably the best quarterback in the NFC, and they won't win many games.
Yeah, you're probably right.
He won't win many games because of that.
Chase says the Bengals have a good QB, and they stink. Valid.
0-2.
It's fair.
0-2.
Ravens?
Ravens, yeah. Sean Connor has a good chat read. You want to read that one?
Nope.
I saw it. I giggled.
It's a good one.
I giggled.
It's funny.
He got a giggle. Congrats. I saw Sean Connor yesterday.
Oh, very nice.
He honked at me. I was walking my dog. I said, hey, Sean. Hey, Sean, text me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want Sean to follow me back on Twitter.
Sean also, I mentioned that I went to Andy
Oh,
Dalton's.
he is. He goes by a different name on there, though.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also, I went to Andy Dalton's senior day. I went to senior day with Sean Connor.
Oh, very nice.
I went to senior day. It's senior day or what do me and my friends always go? It's the last game of the year, senior day / impending free agents going away day.
Yeah.
So we also liken everything to high school games. So
Good.
like the week 6 home game against a division rival, that's homecoming.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
homecoming. You play the Browns. That's a state championship.
Oh, yep,
That's
yep.
a state championship.
Yeah.
You play the Colts or the Steelers or the Lions. That is 2 state championships because it's the 2 adjacent teams playing each other. It's a silly world that I live
Who
in.
do you think would win in a fight? You or Sean Connor? if you had to pick, who would win in a fight?
Any other?
good question.
That is a good question. That is a good question. You asked earlier, is there any good quarterbacks on bad teams? Give me the Jaguars.
Oh, no. I would argue they're a good team that has been made bad by their quarterback.
Connor says minus 350 for Mouse.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
We should watch the tape. All right.
Box lunch.
Box lunch is going to be here at 12:30. Do you think the Jets turning around? You think the Jets will be okay? Not turning around's not the right word. You think they'll be good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're.
Garrett Wilson anytime touchdown nuke on Thursday night. They're going to figure that out.
Oh, they play on
don't-
Thursday night.
The Jets will be competitive, and the Dolphins being what they are now will help. But
You know what's awesome about the NFL, and I always like to mention how much better the NFL is than college football. When it comes to college football, you look ahead like, oh, this week has this game and this game and this game. We know what the games are 3 weeks from now. NFL, you just show up because you know there's going to be great games every gosh darn week.
I
Like,
definitely look ahead
I
in
don't
the
know
NFL.
who's playing Thursday night football. I don't know who's playing Sunday night, or I know who's playing Monday night football. But like, I know the Bengals schedule. I don't care who else's schedule. I don't need to go like in 3 weeks. This top 10 team's playing this top 15 team.
Sunday night, Falcons back in the primetime slot.
Ooh,
Kirk
prime
against
time.
Mahomes, Sunday night football.
Ooh, I like that game.
It's fun.
What's the spread?
I don't know. He's pulled up.
What's the spread there?
whose
Wanna
spread
guess?
is it anyway?
Oh, we're steal that bit too?
Yep.
All right. At Atlanta.
It's at Atlanta.
At Atlanta prime time on Peacock.
I'm guessing Chiefs 4.5.
Is that it? Chiefs minus. Chiefs minus 5.5.
Your model is broken. Casey, any guesses?
For the Chiefs game coming up?
Chiefs,
Chiefs,
Falcons,
Falcons.
Sunday night football. Guessing that line.
I'm going to say it's probably also like 4.5.
Chiefs minus 3.5. 3.5 on the road in Atlanta on Sunday night. Interesting. Bengals 8-point favorites on Monday Night Football. That's a big old number.
That is a big number.
Big old number.
Guess who's betting it? Guess who's betting it?
Yeah, for a team that's going to squeeze the ball and shorten the game with 6 yards of carry.
Yeah. The good news. Here's the good news
Can we
about
make
that.
a gif of me doing?
Yeah. The good news is the public's going to be all over the Commanders in that one. So that'll be good for us.
I don't know.
Sean's got 6 foot, 185. He looked at my college bio. Looked at my college baseball bio. It ain't that anymore, big dog. I was telling the story when Rowan Brown. Shout out to Rowan Brown once again. He makes clothes. Great kid. Brown family, fantastic family here in the Hamilton Ross area. He texted me last week. He said, "Hey, what size shirt are you?" And I had to do a revelation. This is how I end the show. I had to do a revelation. I looked myself in the mirror and go, "Reader, you're not a large anymore."
Did you
big
add the
dog."
X?
I went XL.
That's a big change.
I went
It's
XL.
more comfortable, though, isn't it?
It's a lot more comfortable.
That's a big change.
That's why, this
I
shirt
remember when
feels
I made the
fantastic.
XL change.
Yeah.
It's a life-changing move.
It was extra large was a sobering thought, but it's one that needed to be done. One that needed to be done.
Once you're there, you're fine. It's just
listen,
getting there that's tough. Once you're there, you're fine.
Shorts, you're
Listen.
still at medium, though.
What?
Shorts, you're still at medium.
Large. I honestly
You
should
XL.
wear. I should have been in XL pants a long time ago.
I
when
could
I was,
not remember the time I bought a pair of pants that aren't XLs.
Yeah, I should have been in XLs when I was like in high school. Got a big old dump truck.
Big old ham hocks.
Big old dump, a big lot of swing on this back porch. In fact, when I turn around,
It's like Miss Fanny from
when
Robots.
I turn around,
That's a deep cut.
let me get to
Please
this.
tell me someone got the
I got Miss Fame. Let me get through this joke. When I turn around, the behind has about a 30-minute commute. Am I right? See you guys tomorrow.
I know, box lunch.